A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio. A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Out of the everyday routine. Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you escape. Escape with us now to the barren wastes of northern Mexico and the story of a fortune in cash to be had for the asking, as Anthony Ellis tells it in his exciting story, This Side of Nowhere.
You want to know where you can pick up $250,000? Well, I know a place. The money's in $100 bills. The last time I saw it, it was all in one place, and the people who had it were the friendliest people in the world. That is, if you don't mind their particular kind of friendship. There hadn't been much business in Missouri. Too much competition, and the yokels were spoiled, taking rides in the new stuff flying around. My old Stetson didn't look like much, and I couldn't risk doing tricks in it. With me, when the customer paid $3 for a ride, that's what he got. A ride. So there wasn't much business in Missouri. I've been luckier in Kansas, though. Hit a couple of towns where a plane is still a fancy contraption. As I headed west, I was a couple of bucks ahead. About 50 miles east of Wichita, I put down in a grass field outside Willie. And I figured a day or so here would get me enough to buy a new tire for the right week. Oh, hello there. Is this your field?
Hey, that was pretty. Coming down out of the sky like that, I seen you from a long way.
You like planes, huh?
Sure.
Is this your field?
Yep. Down Spur's Golden Stream.
Well, look, I'd like to make a deal with you.
And so?
I'll be here for a couple of days. Let me keep the plane here, and I'll give you $5.
5? Well...
And a free ride.
You see, you got a deal. My name is Bill Maydew. Kate.
I put up my posters in town and waited, and by 6 o'clock that night, I made $36. It looked as if the town of Willing would keep me around for maybe 3 or 4 days. I put the Stetson to bed in Bill Maydew's barn and then started out to find a place for myself. The old man walked along with me. Say, have you got any suggestions where I can put up while I'm here?
See that flying red horse sign up there?
Yeah?
Yeah. Right across the street is Maydew's Willing Hotel. Nice and quiet. $2 a night. Breakfast 50 cents.
Oh, yours, huh?
Yeah, it ain't fancy, but it's restful. Got a city woman staying there, down from Kansas City.
No?
Taking a rest.
Oh, that sounds fine.
Hey, we're having steak for dinner. I'll get the wife to put on an extra one for you.
With the steak inside, I felt pretty good. About an hour after dinner, I got a look at the hotel's other guest. She was tall, with a big city, dry, crisp figure, and special-looking, too. She didn't seem to notice me as she went over to the desk and started to write a letter. I got quiet, and along about 9 o'clock, I was ready to hit the hay.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You're the man with the plane, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. Name's Gannett.
Mr. Maydew told me about you.
Oh?
I'm Phyllis Naylor.
Well, it's nice to meet you.
I wonder if you'd do me a favor.
Why, sure.
I wanted to go to Wichita tomorrow, but the bus service is so bad I'd have to wait until afternoon.
Oh, you want me to fly you?
Yes.
Well, it's about 50 miles. I I'd lose business here.
I'll pay you $50.
50? I wouldn't lose that much. Let's make it 25.
If that's what you want. Can we leave early?
Anytime. 7 okay?
I'll meet you down here at 7.
All right. So long.
You all set, Miss Naylor? Shall I put your suitcase on the plane?
Oh, no thanks, Mr. Maydew. I can manage.
We'll miss you. Come and visit us again sometime.
Yes, I will.
Well, let's go.
I'll just come along and keep you company, Mr. Gannett.
Okay, it's all right with me.
No, I'd rather he didn't.
Well, it's your ticket. Anything you say. I'll take you up when I come back, Bill. A couple of hours, huh?
I'll wait for you.
I'll go be up to business, huh? So long. Have you done much flying?
Quite a bit.
Oh? Do any yourself?
Yes.
Oh, swell. Would you like to move up here beside me and take over?
Oh, no thanks.
Oh.
Mr. Gannett,
Yeah?
how much would you want to fly me to Mexico?
Are you kidding?
No. Don't you think it might be nice?
Oh, sure, but not in this crate. Short hops for me. Try the airline in Wichita.
I can pay.
I'll bet you can, but not me. The old windmill wouldn't take it.
$5,000?
Right?
I could buy a ticket, but I prefer you to take me.
Oh? Why?
Maybe because I like you?
I'm glad. Look, are you in trouble?
Of course not.
Then why don't you use the scheduled line?
That's not your business. I've got the cash. Will you do it?
No, you better try somebody else.
We're not going to land, Wichita.
And that's what you think.
I've got a gun, Mr. Gannett. Don't turn around. Here.
Hey, look, now be a good girl, will you? You've only got enough gas to get to Wichita.
You're lying. The gauge says full.
Well, it's broken.
I'll take a chance.
We can't make it in one hop. I'll have to come down sometime.
That's all right.
You don't want to get me in trouble, do you?
No. I told you I like you. Just as long as you take me where I want to go. Head south. Go on.
Okay. Where do you want to go?
Torreon.
That's over 1,000 miles. We'll never make that.
I think we can. Where do you think you'll have to stop to refuel?
I guess we can make Dallas if we don't blow up.
All right. Please remember, Mr. Gannett, I'm quite serious. I can easily shoot you and fly myself. I'd rather not.
Yeah. I'll remember. An hour later, we were flying over Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I turned around just once to look at her. She hadn't been bluffing. The gun lay in her hand, steady and pointed at me. I began to think about Dallas. We'd have to come down there. It wouldn't be hard to get the gun away from her then, but there was something else. $5,000. I thought of what I could do with it, and the more I thought, the more I wondered if I was a sucker. Why fly with a gun in your back when you can make a deal just for the asking? She was in trouble. That was her business. I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't want to. I reached for the map.
What are you doing?
Don't get nervous, honey. I just want to take a look at the map.
Oh.
Torreon, huh? Yeah. Cheyenne. Well, I'd say that's about 300 miles below the border, southwest.
I know.
That's bad country in between if we had to come down.
I know that, too.
Were you kidding about that $5,000?
No.
All right. Put away your gun.
What happens when we land at Dallas?
Gas up, check the motor, and go on.
If you try any tricks
Why
on...
should I? Good looker like you, $5,000.
Can I sit next to you?
Yeah, sure. Come on. Yeah, there we go.
Your first name's Zeke, isn't it?
You've been reading hotel registers.
Yes. You won't be sorry about this.
I'll bet I won't. I was proud of of the old windmill. I never thought she could make it, but by 5 o'clock that afternoon, we landed at a town a little north of Laredo. We talked about how we were going to get across the border. She still hadn't told me anything, but I knew that she wanted to get into Mexico with no questions asked. So we decided to steer clear of Laredo and border guards and hang around until it got dark and then take a chance. Took some extra gas aboard and went over the motor. Then there was nothing to do but wait for the night. We went to a cafe to eat. That's the American idea of Mexican food. Unless it burns your tongue off, it's not the real thing.
You done much night flying?
Oh, plenty. Used to be with a commercial outfit.
No.
They fired me for fighting with a passenger. That was before the war. Flew B-24s out of England and came back. Now I'm too old for jets and too independent for commercial jobs, so I'm just a sky bum. What's so funny?
Oh, you. You sound so tough. I wonder.
What?
About you. I think you'd make love like a high school boy.
You want to find out?
No. How soon do you think we can take off for Torreon?
How about an hour or so?
What about our lights when we cross the border?
We won't have any.
Good.
Anyone ever tell you that you're good to look at?
Yes, but you can tell me again.
I like your eyes. They're soft sometimes.
Hi, Mac. Hi.
Sometimes mean.
Want to the party?
It's exciting, though.
No. Got patrol.
Hey, you're not listening to me. Well, that's the first time I've seen that.
What?
You looked scared when the cop came in.
Come on, it's time to go.
We took off soon after dark. I took her up to about 8,000 feet, and we crossed the border. Next stop, Torreon. Laredo was nearly 200 miles behind us when the Stinson died. Just quit cold. We went down nice and easy. I couldn't see anything below. All I knew was that we weren't going to make Torreon. Phyllis didn't scream. She just watched me. Then before we hit, grabbed the suitcase up and held it in her lap. I remember thinking then it was a funny thing to do. And that was all for a while.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, returns in just a moment.
How well do you know the history of your Army? For example, do you know when the U.S. Army's first dental corps was authorized? Your military history will tell you that an enlisted man, Dr. W.H. Ware, served as a dentist in the Philippines in 1898 as a member of the medical department. But it wasn't until 3 years later, in 1901, that the first recognized dental corps was authorized by Act of Congress. In that year, the Army was given permission to employ contract dental surgeons not to exceed 1 to every 30,000 of said Army, and not to exceed 30 in all. Thus, another page was added to the history of your United States Army.
And now, back to Escape.
I woke up. For a moment, everything was a surprise. I was alive. It was getting light. A lock of the girl's hair was falling over her eye. I reached out for it. Felt it. It was wet. Bloody. She was alive, but I couldn't tell how much. I looked at my watch. It was 4:30. As the gray light came through the broken window, I saw something else. A suitcase. It had broken open and spilled out 4 or 5 neat green packages. The thing was full. Packages of new $100 bills. Must have been $250,000. Phyllis? Phyllis? Phyllis, you okay? Come on. Come on. Come on, now, can you sit up?
Oh.
You all right?
Oh, my head hurts.
Well, take it easy for a while. Here, now, give me your gun.
No.
Come on. I want to have a look outside.
All right.
I'll be right back. We'd come down in a kind of basin, and all around were ridges and low peaks. It was rough country, all right. From what I could see, mean. I had an idea water was going to be a problem. As far as you could see, there was nothing but cactus and yucca trees. I started back for the plane, and that's when I saw him, sitting under a bush, his hat on his knees.
Good morning, senor.
He was round, and his face was the color of sand. And his smile were lots of flashing white and gold teeth. I guess he was mostly Indian. He had the happiest voice I'd ever heard.
You've had a terrible accident, senor. I'm so glad you're alive.
How long have you been here?
Since earlier.
How much earlier?
Oh, much earlier, senor.
Why didn't you try and get us out?
If you were dead, one must await a reasonable time to allow the spirit to depart.
Oh. Well, I'm glad to see you. My name's Gannett.
Gannett?
Mm-hmm.
You're American?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I love the Americans. They're so rich. I am Esteban. I will help you. There is another in the machine with you?
Yeah, a girl. She's hurt.
We take her to my village. There she will be taken care of. I'm so happy that you are alive, senora.
Where are we?
A little from my village.
No, I mean, how far from Torreon?
Torreon? It is many days from here.
Oh. What's the name of your village?
El Cielo. It means heaven, senor. You will like it. My people will be so happy to see you. Come, we must help your friends.
When we got back to the plane, Phyllis was on her feet, and I noticed that the suitcase was closed again. She had a cut on her head, but otherwise she was okay. She let me carry the case, and we followed Esteban for about a mile to a little canyon. And there we saw El Cielo. A dozen adobe huts sprawled over the canyon floor.
Let me take your suitcase, senor. I will put it where it will be safe.
No, thanks. I'll take care of it.
As you wish. Once you step in here, I'll bring you food and water.
Thank you.
Oh, it is a pleasure. I love Americans. You are our guests. We are happy to see you.
How do you feel?
Oh, much better, thank you.
I'm not so sure about that guy. I've heard about these Indians. They're not usually very fond of Americans, or any strangers for that matter.
Do you think he'll help us get to Torreon?
I don't know. The way he talks, it must be about 100 miles from here.
Oh.
Listen, honey, it's none of my business, but that suitcase of yours.
What about it?
Now, there's no sense kidding. I know what's in it.
Oh.
It's a good idea not to let these people know.
You've got a gun?
They'll soon not have to use it. You want to tell me left the suitcase?
No.
Okay. We let it go at that. Esteban brought us food, and afterwards we met the rest of the village. They were very polite. Too polite. I couldn't figure it out, but nobody can be that happy to see a stranger. Yeah, they gave us a hut for the night, and after the dogs had quieted down, it got very quiet. You asleep?
No.
How's the head?
Fine, thanks.
I'm sorry about this.
It's all right.
We're going to have to get out as soon as we can. These people
You
are...
think they'll make trouble?
I don't know. They're just too happy. There's something wrong, the way our fat friend looks at you.
Maybe he thinks I'm pretty.
Yeah, maybe.
What are you going to do about it?
But look, in the morning we're going back to the plane. There's a chance I can do something to fix it up. Just a chance.
Oh?
Yeah. Well...
You were telling me something back at the cafe in Laredo. About me?
Yeah, I wasn't I? I guess you're not very scared about all this, are you?
I don't want to think about it.
You ought to be thinking about it.
mistake.
Look, we're in a tight spot.
I don't care.
But I do. Maybe if we ever got out of here...
All right, I suppose, boy. Good night.
The next morning, Esteban went with me back to the plane. It was still there. That is, most of it. Of course, they'd taken everything movable from inside, stripped the rubber tires off, stolen the prop. What about it, Esteban?
It, senor?
Nice hospitality. I wanted to patch her up.
Senor, some dirty thieves must have come out of the night and done this
Yeah, you
thing.
can say that again.
Surely you would not suspect my people.
Oh, no, not your people.
I'm so happy then.
Well, we'll have to rent a couple of your mules. Maybe you'll guide us to a town that's got a bus or a railroad or something.
You have money to pay for these things?
Little, yeah.
We'll talk about it maybe tomorrow. Now we'll go back to the village.
We didn't talk about it tomorrow or the next day or the next. Esteban always made some excuse. We weren't prisoners, but wherever we went, there was always one of them watching. Just watching and smiling. But there was something about those smiles. It was on the 5th day that things really went wrong. The villagers had left our hut alone, and I guess we got a little careless about the suitcase. Phyllis and I had been up to a ridge 4 miles away to take a look at the country and our chances for hiking out. When we got back, it was almost dark.
The suitcase.
What?
It's gone.
Well, I'll be...
They've stolen it. You think it's funny? Stop.
I'm sorry, but... What's that for? Don't you see how funny it is? $250,000 stolen by Indians? Where are they going to spend it? On what?
Got to get it back. You help me. I'll share it with you.
You will?
Yes. Listen, you might as well know. Remember the bank hold-up in Chicago last year?
Yeah. $1 million and security.
That suitcase is part of it. A friend of mine left it with me. He got out of the country.
Now he's in Torreon?
Yes. I was to hang around in small towns until things got quieter. When you came along, it gave me a chance. I was to meet him in Torreon. I don't care about him now. It's you and me.
Oh.
We've got to get away from here. And go to Mexico City or anywhere.
How far do you think we get in this country?
We'll take their mules.
Well, we can try. Esteban's the boy to find. You and me?
Yes. Yes. Don't you know that by now?
Okay.
Senor, what can I say? No one has been in your house. It is unthinkable.
Look, you know what this is?
It is a gun, senor.
Yeah.
Only the rich can afford such things.
I'm telling you to round up that suitcase or else. Now tell your friends. I mean it. Now go ahead.
El americano dice que tenemos que devolver la maleta. Si no, se va a enojar mucho y nos fusilará a todos, incluyendo a los niños.
Well?
They say they are very much afraid.
Get me the suitcase.
We brought you here when you might have died in the desert. Surely you would not harm us.
That's a lot of double talk. You brought us here to steal us blind.
Senor, you have made a terrible accusation. We're very unhappy. Perhaps you would care to search the village.
You get that suitcase. Ah, what's the use? There wasn't any use. I couldn't shoot them down in cold blood. I knew I'd never find the suitcase. I also knew that we had to get out of there. We'd lost the money, but at least for the moment we still had our lives. I asked Esteban for mules.
Senor, a terrible thing has happened. Last night the mules strayed away. We have none left. It is a great loss.
So I could call him a liar. He was, too, but I couldn't find the mules. That decided it.
I'm afraid of them.
Yeah, I don't like the way Esteban's been looking at that ring of yours. We're going to have to make it out on foot.
Anything's better than staying
Oh,
here.
if I only had that map. Oh, well, I don't think they'll try to stop us. We'll start tonight when it gets cool. You better get some sleep. That evening, I heard the villagers moving around outside the hut. I kept our gun ready, but nothing happened. And then, about midnight, we took a couple of skins of water, some tortillas, and walked out of El Cielo. Nobody said goodbye. Nobody tried to stop us. But as I looked back, I saw in the moonlight a group of people huddled together, watching us. We walked for 3 days. Desert. Heat. Night. Cold. Then the water was gone. How you doing?
No. All right. Thirsty.
Try not to think about it.
Can we rest a minute?
Hey, better not. Not yet. Try to get to the hills. It's only a few miles. It'll be hotter. Now save your breath. Huh? Don't move. Don't move. The Gila monster. All right now, fellas. Don't move. Just don't move, now blow his head off. Now keep still. That's it. Keep still. She lived on for about 2 hours, then died raving, cursing me, the money, and herself. A week later, I was picked up. That was 6 months ago. The Mexican police tried to find my plane, but I couldn't tell them where it was. They'd never even heard of El Cielo. So, somewhere in Coahuila, Mexico, there's a village. Maybe if you go down there, you'll find a suitcase with $250,000. Or maybe you'll just find kids cutting paper dolls out of $100 bills. Just crash your plane this side of Torreon.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you This Side of Nowhere by Anthony Ellis. William Conrad was starred as Deke, and Virginia Gregg as Phyllis, with Don Diamond as Esteban. In the supporting cast were Lou Krugman and Ralph Moody. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
This is the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to a small freighter in the China Seas and a sinister traveler who brings destruction to crew and ship alike, as Ellis St. Joseph tells it in his most unusual play, A Passenger to Bali.
The papers in my pocket read Steamship Roundabout, 9,000 tons, British registry. Master and owner, Captain English. Stamped across the face was the clearance of Port Authority. I'd be glad to see the last of Shanghai, its smell and its waterfront filth. Cargoes had been scarce. Now, with our hold filled for the first time in months, I didn't want to waste time. I wanted to get underway before morning. Mr. Slaughter!
Aye, Captain.
Will you step up here to the bridge, mister?
Aye, sir.
Are we ready to sail, mister?
All secure, sir.
All hands on board?
Aye, sir.
Good. Let's clear port, Mr. Slaughter.
Yes, sir. Mr. Angle, stand by the castle. Stand by. Stand by. Let go the stern spring line. You there on the dock. Take that line forward. Forward, you lump of meat. Here, you can't board now.
But, my good fellow, I am aboard.
The ship is about to sail.
Who is it, Mr. Slaughter?
Oh, someone who insists he talk with you, sir.
Stay there. I'll be down. Well, what is it?
Have I the honor of addressing Captain English of the Roundabout?
I am Captain English.
Allow me to introduce myself, Captain. I am the Reverend Walks, a missionary bound for Bali.
What can I do for you?
You can offer me your hand?
Come to your point, Mr. Walks. We're about to sail.
I am told your boat puts in at Butte along the port of Bali. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Here you will find my passport and papers of identification. If the papers and myself shall meet with your approval, we can settle the matter of money, and I shall sail with you tonight.
You've been misinformed, Mr. Walks. The Roundabout is a trading steamer with no accommodations for passengers.
You'll find I need little.
I'm sorry, but it's impossible. Good night, sir.
Name your price.
What's that?
The customary fare from Shanghai to Bali is $100. I'll double it.
Sorry.
Don't tell me there isn't room in your cash box for $200.
That's a lot of money, Mr. Walks.
Think of the reward for bringing grace to the pagan Balinese.
Let me see your papers. Well, your passport seems to be in order. The photograph, you.
And the money, Captain English. The money is also interesting. Is it not?
Where is your luggage, Mr. Walks?
On the dock. 2 cases of Bibles.
I'll see to them. Mr. Slaughter, take Mr. Walks forward. Tell Mr. Wrangle to get the luggage aboard.
Aye, sir.
Thank you, Captain English. You won't regret your choice. And now, if you'll just lead the way, Mr. Slaughter.
I watched him walk away, his monstrous bulk shadowing grotesquely in the foggy half-light, his great bull neck creasing into massive shoulders, his shaggy black hair wild and unkempt. I didn't like this man, this missionary, strange in his ways and manners. Yet I found myself thinking that, after all, he was a man of God. Perhaps later I would come to understand him. The fog was thicker now. I shook myself free of the depression I felt. Mr. Wrangle!
Aye, Captain.
Prepare to cast off. We sail immediately. It was the 3rd night out of Shanghai when Mr. Slaughter brought the first trouble to my cabin.
I found her in the afterhold, sir. Come on board in Shanghai.
Obviously, Mr. Slaughter. Come here, Tom. I won't hurt you. Come here. What is your name, girl?
I don't think she understands English, sir. Probably Chinese from the looks of her.
On the sun.
What are you doing aboard this steamer?
Must come on ship.
What do you mean, must come on ship? Why?
Must come.
Now, look here. Do you know what is done with stowaways?
Stowaways?
Yes, people who sneak on board a ship without paying.
I do not know.
There's no place to put her ashore, sir, until we reach Bali.
I know, and yet she can't have the run of the ship.
We could lock her in the empty cabin, sir.
You forget, Slaughter. There is no empty cabin now. Mr. Walks is in it.
Mr. Walk. Mr. Walk.
You know Mr. Walks, girl?
Mr. Walk.
Mr. Slaughter, would you ask Mr. Walks to step into my cabin, please?
Oh, sir, I'll only dear.
Gentlemen, I couldn't help but hear my name being spoken. May I be of service to you, Captain?
What are you ready for?
I don't appreciate eavesdropping outside my cabin.
Eavesdropping? My dear Captain, you do me an injustice. I was merely passing by.
As you say, Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks, do you know this young girl? Have you ever seen her before?
What a charming child. What a delight. I'm sorry, Captain. I'm afraid I cannot help you. I have never seen her in my life.
Mr. Walk, you tell me not.
After all, Captain English, you could hardly expect a man like myself to know a girl from what must obviously be a sordid livelihood. I have never seen this girl before.
She came aboard this boat to be with you.
Did she tell you so?
No, but it's obviously so.
Even though I am dedicated as a missionary to aid and comfort the distressed, I do not feel obligated to lie merely to smooth the path for another's crime. This girl is obviously far beyond any spiritual help or material comfort that I could give her. Good day, gentlemen.
Girl, did you know this man in Shanghai?
Yes.
Did you know him well?
Very well. He was not... Yes, very well.
Slaughter and I talked with the girl for a long while, but we could learn nothing further. After more questions, useless ones, I had the first mate take her forward and feed her and find her a bed. I would talk with Mr. Walks in the morning. Slaughter and I were eating breakfast, and Mr. Walks came into the mess room. He sat down. His gigantic, obscene body overflowed from his chair across the table.
Good morning, gentlemen. I trust your nights were pleasant ones.
Mr. Walks, I want to talk with you about that girl.
The girl? Oh, yes, a tragedy.
I want you to tell me all you know about her. Then I'll decide what's to be done.
What's to be done? Captain, you're overstepping your bounds. This is God's work. Now?
What do you mean?
Oh, dear. You haven't heard?
Heard what, Mr. Walks? What is that here?
About the girl, Mr. Slaughter. The poor girl.
What of her?
It seems she met with an accident last night.
Accident?
Yes, at least so I presume. There is some small evidence that she has left our ship now to ride in a mightier, more wonderful vessel. Perhaps even now she is riding across the heavens in a chariot of flaming gold.
What are you talking about?
The poor, demented girl sought succor in the depths of water about us.
What?
Her pitiful torn shawl lies amid the hawsers at the stern. She committed suicide sometime last night. Well, must I eat alone, or will you gentlemen stay for a second cup of coffee?
In my own mind, I knew what had happened, and I'm sure Slaughter did. I felt certain Walks had killed her and thrown her overboard. But there was nothing I could do. 4 days later, we dropped anchor in the harbor of Bulalong. The ship's officers and I were anxious to get our cargo unloaded and to know that we were rid of Mr. Walks. I was in my cabin going through the routine of bills of lading and ship's papers with a port officer, Mr. Matsis, new at the job and overcautious.
About your passenger. He is a missionary?
Yes, he came aboard in Shanghai.
Captain, since there have been certain changes in Bali, we now have no need of such a person. This man's name is what?
Walks, the Reverend Mr. Walks.
You do not usually carry passengers, Captain?
No, we don't.
Could I speak with this man?
Yes, of course.
Merely a formality.
Of course, I'll have the mess boy locate him. Be only a minute.
Captain English?
Oh, I was looking for you, Mr. Walks.
For you. The port officer would like to see me. I overheard. But first, let me give you this.
$200. What's this for?
The use of a lifeboat.
What are you talking about?
A lifeboat, Captain. I need one to get ashore. You wouldn't have me swim.
The port officer wants to talk with you. Come along.
Wait, Captain.
Walks, I am as anxious to have you off my boat as you are to leave. You can only go ashore in the proper way at the proper time.
This is your last chance. Yours as well as mine. Let me go ashore now and take the consequences. You'll search the four corners of the globe looking for this minute. Don't let it slip through your fingers. There's an eternity in it.
Captain English. This man is not a missionary. His name is not Vox. All Indonesia is close to him.
What? You mean he can't land? Oh, no, this is ridiculous, Mr. Matches. This man doesn't belong to me. I refuse to be burdened with him.
You have no choice. He's on your ship. He belongs to you.
This man booked passage from Shanghai to Bali, and I refuse to take him further.
I am sorry, Captain English, but this is not my concern. During the time you are in port, a police guard will be placed on this man. He will not be allowed out of his cabin. When you sail, he will sail with you.
Who is this man?
Call him a murderer, an anarchist, a revolutionary. It does not matter. During the recent trouble here, he fought on both sides and profiteered from both sides. As I said, Indonesia is close to him. Your papers are in order and stamped, Captain. Good day.
I warned you, Captain. You should have let me go. You should have let me go ashore in the lifeboat. For now and the time ahead, you are going to see a great deal of your passenger to Bali. Yes, a great deal.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, is bringing you Ellis St. Joseph's great play, A Passenger to Bali.
It was the 6th week. 42 days before, we had taken on a passenger in Shanghai, bound for Bali. 3 days after he boarded the ship, he had murdered a young girl, a stowaway. We all knew he had, but we couldn't prove it. Now we were anchored outside the harbor of Bangkok. I was in the deck house, and Mr. Slaughter rapped on the door.
Well, Captain, what's the news?
Bad, I'm afraid.
Walks hasn't been refused again.
Again? Just as he was in Makassar and Lembang and Batavia. The same words, the same reasons as in Bali.
Captain English, there was a fight in the forecastle this morning. One of the men hurt bad, and it was because of Walks.
Who were the men?
Able Seaman Coles and Duncan, sir.
Coles and Duncan? Oh, they're friends.
Yes, sir, they were. It's all Mr. Walks' doing, sir. The three of them were arguing about something, and suddenly like the fight starts. Duncan was cut heavy in the chest. Walks just sat by.
Where is he now?
In the mess, sir.
I'll be right back. Wait here. Mr. Walks. Mr. Walks!
Oh, Captain English, I didn't hear you come in. I was reading. The Bible, as a matter of fact. Did you want to speak with me?
I am told you are directly responsible for an injury sustained by a member of my crew.
Oh, yes, that tragic episode between Duncan and Coles. I'd almost forgotten.
I could have you put in irons.
For what reason? I did nothing. The men were discussing religion, and I was simply pointing out certain points to each.
They went at each other with knives.
Like children in the fever of the moment. Was there something else you wanted, Captain?
Mr. Walks,
Well?
No. Walks had dismissed me on my own ship. I had to get rid of this man. His personality was infecting us all. In the past month, he had come to order about the lesser members of the crew. He had his meals served whenever and wherever he wished. He drank liquor from my own locker. As I watched the harbor traffic of Bangkok, I knew there was only one thing to do. Mr. Slaughter.
Aye, sir.
We will weigh anchor.
How do we shape our course, sir?
Southeast by east, 3/4 south.
Aye, sir, southeast by... That's Shanghai, Captain.
Yes, Mr. Slaughter, that's Shanghai. On the 2 weeks' return trip to Shanghai, I began to feel myself a stranger on my own ship. The trim little China Seas freighter was becoming a floating prison, and the jailer was Mr. Walks. My Kanaka crew, emotional and superstitious, were in love with him. They worshipped him, worshipped his massive body and his liquor-fed eloquence. My deck officers and I could feel control slipping through our fingers, and we were powerless to do anything about it. Then, finally, it was the last night. Tomorrow, we would anchor in Shanghai.
And so we're back to where we started from.
But at least we'll be rid of him.
I hope there's no slip-up this time.
There won't be.
They want him, eh?
Yes, Shanghai is as anxious to capture him as every other port was to reject him. They won't risk his escape.
What's he done, Captain?
Walks has been mixed up in something foul in every country he's touched. Heaven only knows what crimes he's committed. But shortly we'll be free of him. Now let's have a drink to that.
I don't mind, Captain.
Get a new bottle out of the sideboard, will you? Here are the keys. Good, just put it here. Oh, and 2 glasses.
You should make it 3 glasses. Well, gentlemen, surely you'll invite me to join you.
No, Mr. Walks. Will not.
Then I shall have to help myself.
I think I'd better get out on deck, Captain. You'll excuse me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Too bad poor Mr. Slaughter couldn't stay.
Glad you enjoy my whiskey.
You have good taste, Captain. Good taste in everything. Whiskey, boats. The roundabout is an ideal little steamer. You might almost say I found a home here.
You packed, Mr. Walks.
A comfortable cabin, good food, now that I've schooled your cook. A well-stocked liquor cabinet.
Are you packed, Mr. Wilkes?
No. No, I am not packed.
You haven't much time. Tomorrow we'll be anchored at Shanghai and you'll be taken away, I hope, to jail.
You could be wrong, Captain. It might turn out that I shall stay forever aboard your ship. Until eternity.
Walks, I've never liked you. Not since that first night when you came aboard in Shanghai. Oh? You're filthy. You're rotten, unclean. You're a murderer by your own influence.
This is no time for heated argument. Drink a toast with me, Captain.
You got into the very core of the ship with your rottenness.
A toast, Captain.
You seduced the whole crew, the Kanaka deckhands, the mess boys. Every day they're becoming more slovenly, more lax.
Very well, I shall drink a toast myself. To the roundabout, may the comforts I've come to enjoy be not lost too soon.
I'd sink my ship before I'd allow you to stay aboard her one day longer.
Perhaps Shanghai will present an answer to surprise us both.
When this ship leaves Shanghai, Mr. Walks, it will leave free of you. Now, good night, sir. It was in the sweltering noon of the next day that Mr. Chisholm, the British consul at Shanghai, was seated in my cabin, a long drink in his thin hands.
Captain, the Chinese port authorities have told me of your predicament. I am to handle it in my own way, according to their instructions.
I don't understand.
Well, it's extremely simple. In every spot, every port, every town in which this man sets foot, some sort of trouble's broken out.
Oh, I know this, sir.
Well, I cannot be sure this man is responsible, but after all, the law of averages...
But, Mr. Chisholm, I want this man off my hands. How soon can you arrange this?
I'm afraid I didn't make myself clear. Shanghai does not want him. Neither does the British consulate.
But this man is a criminal.
Oh, Mr. Walks would certainly be arrested the moment he set foot on land. But he'll not be given that opportunity.
Now, look, Mr. Chisholm, you've got to take that man ashore.
Oh, I'm afraid your now famous passenger is a man without a country.
Am I expected to sail him around the world the rest of my days?
I'm sorry, Captain English. I'm sorry. You will depart at your earliest convenience. Good day, sir.
And so we sailed from Shanghai, the Roundabout and Mr. Walks. In the weeks that followed, a great shadow lay over the ship. Wrangle, the second mate, fell ill, stayed in his cabin. Slaughter began drinking even during his watches. The ship seemed to smell of evil. Mr. Walks became the real captain of the Roundabout. Then, sweeping in from the edges of the China Sea, came an even more destructive power, typhoon. The barometer had been falling for 3 days, and it was on the forenoon watch that the storm hit with its full impact. For 7 hours, the Roundabout wallowed through the seething masses of water. Then an emergency call from the quartermaster brought me to the bridge. I went into the wheelhouse.
The power unit and the rudder control is going out.
Where's the mate?
Went out, sir. Trying to correct trouble. We're on manual operation now, sir.
You'll need another man to help you. Get help.
But, sir, you can't...
I can handle it till you get back. Hurry, man. If this thing gets out of control and starts spinning, the rudder will tear itself free in a matter of minutes. Now, go on, man. Hurry.
Aye, sir.
With the steam-powered gears to help me, each wave that hit the shuddering ship made the great wheel come alive beneath my hands. I stood, feet braced against the wild pitching of the vessel, shoulders and arms straining to retain control. I tried to gauge the monstrous waves rushing toward us, tried to ease the groaning ship through millions of tons of lashing water. My muscles pulled and ached as each gray-green monster hit. I could hear nothing over the scream of the storm. I turned, looking for the quartermaster, and in that second it happened. I had been flung off the wheel like a marionette, and now it spun free, spinning one way and then the other with each roll of the ship. I tried to get to my feet. My leg was twisted under me.
My ship! What have you done to my ship? Walks!
Get a rope. Stop the wheel.
I'll stop it.
No, it will cut your hands off. Get a rope.
No time.
Get a rope, you fool. It'll kill you. Walk. Stay away from it.
I'll stop it if I have to smash it.
You've done it. You've got the wheel on your back.
I've got more than the wheel. I've got the whole ocean on my back.
Can you hold it a minute longer, Walks? I'll help you. Hold on until I get there.
Never mind, Captain. It will not be necessary.
What? What did you say?
The rudder has just snapped. I'm holding nothing.
The next morning, the storm was gone. Gone as quickly as it had come. Replaced by a thick, yellow, clinging fog through which the roundabout floated, broken, wrecked, sinking. Her wireless gone, half her crew dead. She might go in half an hour, or she might last a week. But I had the safety of my crew to think about. My ship. I had given the order to abandon her.
Like rats, we leave the sinking ship. Leave room for me up forward. I have need to stretch my legs.
You won't be with us this trip, Mr. Walks.
My luggage is not aboard the lifeboat.
You're staying aboard the roundabout. I've left you a sextant. There's plenty of food and liquor. Even enough for you.
I'm not going.
No, you're not going. The ship is yours now. Do with her what you want.
But that's murder. You're murdering me.
I have no idea how soon the ship will sink, or even if she will. You may be picked up today, or tomorrow, or you may float here for years.
Captain English, we could...
Stay where you are.
But look,
this
Captain,
gun can speak even above your voice, Walks. This is for the last time. Goodbye, Mr. Walks.
Wait, Captain. It's not man's province to judge. No creature under your wings should be left to die.
Cast loose, Mr. Slaughter.
All right.
Without compassion.
All right, then. Row, you fools. Row. Even now you may not have seen the last of me. Row.
And so I left the roundabout. I left everything I owned. Everything except my freedom. The roundabout grew dimmer in the fog. And the figure of a man, standing well forward in the bow of an empty ship, was the last thing I could see before the fog closed in.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you A Passenger to Bali by Ellis St. Joseph, especially adapted for radio by Mr. MacDonald. John Daner was starred as Captain English, with Lou Merrill as the Reverend Mr. Walks. Featured in the cast were Lou Krugman, Michael Ann Barrett, Wilms Herbert, and Bruce Payne. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week, escape with us to the Old West and the unusual story of a man who was a merciless professional killer, but who fought on the side of law, as Ernest Haycox tells it in his exciting story, Wild Jack Rett.
Stay tuned now for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, where you spend an hour with Frank Sinatra every Sunday afternoon on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You, finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to the Old West and the unusual story of a merciless professional killer, as Ernest Haycox tells it in Wild Jack Rett.
Red Mesa. A little town springing out of the hot, dry prairie beside the Chisholm Trail. A saloon, a hotel, 2 general stores, and a tiny church where the decent citizenry might pray for salvation while a wilder element, trail driver and teamster and buffalo hunter, restlessly searched out friend and enemy along the dusty main street. A small hill rose on the western edge of Red Mesa, plagued with a rash of graves, some marked and cared for, others sinking and forgotten.
Man that is born of woman hath but a short time to live, and is full of misery. He cometh up and is cut down like a flower. He flieth as it were a shadow. While we're praying, a couple of you boys start throwing some dirt on the sheriff. O Lord, with whom do live the spirits of them that be dead, and in whom the souls of men...
And that same evening, a committee of the leading citizens of Red Mesa gathered together at Mayor Wayne's home to decide upon a new sheriff.
All right, gentlemen, sit down and let's get this settled. Gentlemen, to make this town a decent place for our womenfolk and children, we've got to have a Sheriff Todd Mallon and his kind can't kill. We need the toughest gunfighter available. And I want to propose...
Just a minute, Mayor Wayne. Let me speak.
All right. Go ahead, Bo Allen.
I don't think we should get all upset just because we lost another sheriff. Jim Speed worked out fine for Red Mesa. All we need is another sheriff just about like him.
I expected that, Bo Allen. All you look out for is to keep that saloon of yours full of anybody who'll buy whiskey and gamble. I still propose we reform this town by sending for a man some of you may have heard of. Jack Rett.
Gentlemen, I do want my saloon full. And full of the only men who'll bring any money at all into Red Mesa. Cowpunchers coming up the Chisholm Trail with Texas cattle. Thirsty men on the prod from a long drive. But you give them Jack Rett instead of a little fun, and this town will go broke.
We'll chance that, Bo Allen. We'll chance that.
What about Matt Travener? What's he got to say?
I've nothing to say, gentlemen. As U.S. Deputy Marshal for the district, my job is strictly outside Red Mesa. You run your town any way you like. I'll handle the surrounding territory.
Know anything about Jack Rett, Travener?
Just by reputation. Professional town tamer. And I've heard he's the most cold-blooded killer ever drew a gun.
Travener's right. We can't afford a man like that here.
Let's put it to a vote, gentlemen. All in favor of sending for Jack Rett, raise their right hand. 5-1. The matter is settled, gentlemen. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, Wayne.
You'll wait and see Mary, Travener?
If you don't mind, Mayor.
Of course. Sit down. She'll be out in a minute. Well, boy, Helen is pretty mad. But after Jack Rett is here for a while, at least there'll be less gunfighting.
Be less anyway if Todd Mellon were out of the way. He sets a bad example. He's a hard man to catch.
Well, you've done all you can, Travener. There's just too much territory around here for Mallon and his gang to lose themselves in. He'll have to be taken by a town officer, and I think Rett is the man to do it, if Mallon comes to town again.
He'll come, Mayor. The word gets out that Rett is sheriff here, Mallon will have to face him or lose his reputation with his own men.
Good evening, Father. Hello, Matt.
Good evening.
Hello, darling.
Well, Matt Travener, aren't you going to kiss me?
Of course, sure. Here.
Mary. What a shameless wench you are.
Oh, Father, you're old-fashioned. After all, we're engaged.
Your mother, God rest her soul, didn't behave like that when we were engaged.
The war changed things, Father.
I know, but not for the better. Well, I'm off to bed. Don't stay up too late now. Good night.
Good night, Father. You look worried, Matt.
Do I?
Tell me about it.
Well, it's just that they're sending for a new sheriff. A legal killer named Rett. He has quite a reputation, and there'll always be men to challenge it.
That means more gunfighting. Is that it?
I'm afraid so. It's a bloody way to peace, Mary.
I know. Let's not worry about it now. Come on. I'll pick some coffee for us.
3 weeks later, Wild Jack Rett rode into Red Mesa. He was 38 and at the peak of his reputation. He stood well over 6 feet, better than 200 pounds of plain sinew. Tawny blonde hair grew long in the frontier style, and his features, fair and tinted like a girl's, were boldly aquiline. He was a picturesque man, till one looked at his eyes, which were large and pale blue, and had the disconcerting trick of remaining too steadily on people. There was to be seen in them the suggestion of inhumanity. He sent word to the committee that he'd meet him at the mayor's office that evening.
It's 8 o'clock now. Where is he?
He's in town, and that's bad enough.
Dear sport, Bo Helen. We took a fair vote on Rett.
Here he comes now.
My name is Jack Rett. I have your offer.
I'm Peter Wayne, mayor of Red Mesa. Do you accept it?
Depends on what you want. Tell me.
Well, Rett, this is a difficult town. The Chisholm Trail lies just across the river, and we get most of our money from the riders passing through with Texas cattle. Now, we want them to have a decent time for their money, but we don't like a lot of gunplay and killing.
I've always been accustomed to complete authority, Mayor. I presume to know my job, and I won't have interference.
That's agreed, Rett. By the way, the last sheriff had a rule that riders leave their hardware at his office. He had trouble enforcing it.
A poor rule. Let them pack their guns.
Well, that gives the wild ones a fair chance at you.
I never give a man a fair chance at me. Is that all, gentlemen?
Bo Helen's saloon was the usual deadfall, with a huge bar along one side of the room and gaming tables toward the rear. Next morning, Bo Helen stood tapping the mahogany of the bar with his fingertips, staring thoughtfully at nothing.
Good morning, Bo Helen.
It's noon, Samus.
Huh? Oh, sure. Draw me a beer, Mike. Yeah. Where's the new sheriff, Bo Helen?
Over there at the corner table. Came in just before you did.
Huh?
Barkeep, bring me a cigar, a glass of rye.
Yeah. Now he's going to clean and reload his 6 guns, one at a time.
By golly, he is. How'd you know?
It's an old gunman's trick to impress the citizens.
But there's no one here except you and me.
Then it's to impress me.
I don't. Goodbye, Bo Helen. Mike.
You've got something to say to me, Bo Helen?
Yes, I have. You're smart, Red. I recognize that. But your record for killing is too severe, and my business depends on an open town. Now, the reform element got you, and I'll go along for now. But just remember one thing. I can break you, Rett, any time.
I was waiting for that, Bo Helen.
Well, then I guess we understand each other.
Hello?
Oh, any luck, Matt?
Just a morning's ride.
Matt, here's Jack Rett. Rett, this is Mac Travener, U.S. Deputy Marshal for the district.
Glad to know you, Rett.
You're young.
Don't be misled. Rett, your job is in town. Mine is everything outside. So I'll either back you up here in Red Mesa or leave you strictly alone.
I'll handle Red Mesa.
All right. One more thing. I want Todd Mallon. If he comes to town again, he'll have to be taken. Will you do that or shall I?
What is he?
Outlaw. His main line is plain robbery. Now I want him for killing Jim Speed.
Let me handle Mallon.
Why?
Killing's my trade. Man doesn't live with enough animal instinct to get me.
Maybe. Killing you would build a man's reputation considerable.
Just so?
Yeah. Good luck, Rett.
There was peace for a full week in Red Mesa. And then on Saturday night, Matt Travener's prediction came true. Jack Rett was at his customary post just opposite Bo Helen's saloon, in a chair on the porch of the Chinook Hotel, obscured by the shadows and watching the crowd, his cold, pale eyes half concealed by cigar smoke. Trouble found him thus.
Evening, Sheriff.
Evening, ma'am.
Keeping an eye on the boys, huh?
Hello, cowboy.
That's a lot of killing for one sheriff. 3 men. I don't like it.
Forget it, friend. Have a drink and forget it.
You're Bo Helen, ain't you?
That's right. Come on now, have one in the house. Now, Mike, fix him up.
I can pay for my liquor. You never gave him a chance. What kind of sheriff you got stands in a shadow and kills 1 man, and then jumps 50 feet from his gun flash and shoots down 2 more? Those boys never had a chance at him.
Drink your drink, cowboy.
That was the most merciless killing I ever seen. He's a butcher. I wish I'd gunned him.
This is my game. Never fools to play it. Never buck a man who's spent his life learning to kill, son. Get out of town. Get out now.
Red? What if I
Don't try it, son. Don't let your anger destroy you. Drift. Go on. Drift.
Blast your town. I can hold my thirst another 200 miles up the trail. Come on, boys. We'll send word back to Texas to go around Red Mesa and let it dry to powder.
Yeah, sure. It won't do, Rett.
It'll do, Bo Helen. Barkeep, bring me a glass of rye. On the house.
Rett stood with his back to the bar, holding his drink and a thin black cigar carefully in one hand. He stood there for about 10 minutes. Then trouble came again.
Todd Mellon, he's riding in with 4 men.
Close the games. Open up the back doors.
Well, Jack Rett, now let's see you shoot down Todd Mallon and 4 men from the shadows.
Good night, Bo Helen.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, returns in just a moment. Sorry, but if you think school teachers have it easy, you've got another think coming. Just ask our Miss Brooks, as played by Eve Arden, on most of these same CBS stations this evening. And now, back to Escape.
When word came to Bo Helen's saloon that Todd Mallon was riding into Red Mesa with 4 men, Jack Rett simply walked out, crossed the street to his office, sat down and waited. 20 minutes later, Todd Mallon had arrived and departed. Not a shot fired. Then Jack Rett went quietly to bed. But early Sunday morning, he was back in his office.
Come in.
Morning, Rett.
Well, Crabner?
There's talk, Rett.
I expect that.
Now, Rett, you told me you'd handle Mallon if he came to town.
Yes, Travener.
Well, they say Mallon rode into town last night with 4 men. Rode right up to this office, got down, came inside. That you and he stood here with this desk between you talking. And that a few minutes later, Mallon left and rode out of town.
I play the game my own way, Travener. And I don't want interference from anybody.
People are saying maybe you and Mallon made a deal of some kind.
Well, now, somebody's breaking the Sabbath. Know who it could be, Travener?
No, I don't.
That's a rifle. Sounds like one of those 7-shot Spencers.
And it's old Hack Crow.
Who's he?
An old trapper. Comes to town every few months, sells his furs, gets drunk, goes a little crazy. Jim Speed always laid him away in jail to sober.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
You better stop him, Rett.
He's only got 2 shots left. That'll satisfy him. I doubt if he'll reload.
And if he notices us and decides to shoot?
Then I'll have to kill him. Hey, who's that coming out of Bo Helen's?
Ewald Bay, gambler.
He's a fool.
Guys, get this horse. You going to stop him, Rett?
No. Let him go.
Rett, the town is your territory, and I won't interfere. But why did you refuse a fair shot at Hack Crow? Ewald Bay is dead.
Which is the more useful citizen, Traveler? Crow or Bay? The West is full of gamblers.
There was considerable talk that day in Red Mesa over Jack Rett's aloof and cruel calm in condoning a shooting that had occurred under his very eyes and within reach of his formidable guns. Then, mid-afternoon, a rider came up from the prairie and reported finding old Hack Crow dead in a coulee, dry gulched and robbed. Mayor Wayne heard about it and went to Bo Helen's saloon to hear more.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hello, Bo Helen. Shot of brandy.
And what do you think of your great Jack Rett now, Mayor?
It looks bad.
Now, look, Mayor. Everyone knew Hack Crow carried his profits in his pocket. Always did that. So Rett allowed him to leave, and Todd Mallon and his men were waiting for him in the coulee. It's as simple as that.
We have no proof of that, Bo Helen.
No? And why didn't Rett take Mallon when he rode in here last night? Because they made a business arrangement, that's why.
Well, it doesn't look good, but... Shh. There's Rett now.
Barkeep, glass of rye.
I don't want to talk to him yet. I'm leaving. Good night, Bo Helen.
Good night, man. Mike, give me that rye. I'll take it over to the sheriff myself. Here's your drink, Sheriff. Mind if I sit down?
Game never changes, Bo Helen. I know what you're going to say.
I warned you I could break you, Rett.
It's an old story to me. Every town's got one insider who plays along with the outlaws. And I knew you to be that one here when I first saw you. Running a saloon, you'd know when a cattle buyer was riding out of town carrying a specie, when the overland stage was loaded with gold. There was a quarrel over the split of profits between you and Mallon, and you fell apart. That's always the way.
Very shrewd, Rett.
It's an old story, Bo Helen. I know it by heart.
Very shrewd. But you can't play the same game.
All sheriffs are supposed to be crooked.
You and Mallon had an agreeable little chat last night. Did he make you a good offer, Rett?
Maybe I should accept his offer, Bo Helen, just to keep you two split. Maybe I should do that.
Rett, I've seen sheriffs come and go. It's a chancy trade.
Sheriffs die. They all die. It's only a question of time.
You're a hard one, Jack Rett.
You might make your peace with Mallon. It'd have to be that way, otherwise you'll have little chance of getting rid of me, Bo Helen.
It may be that way.
I wouldn't be surprised. I always expect the worst of men, and am seldom disappointed.
It was turning dark as Jack Rett left Bo Helen's saloon. Crossing the street, he walked into his office, but continued on out through the back door. A few minutes later, he stood in the gathering shadows opposite the OK stable and watched Bo Helen ride out and drift into the prairie to the south. He knew now what to expect. It would happen soon, perhaps tomorrow. He returned to his office and slept the night there.
Come in. Well.
Morning. Rett, I want you to meet Mary Wayne.
Miss Wayne, very proud.
I wanted to know you.
To meet him, Mary, not to know him. Rett lives in a closed world.
See that? I have no friends.
We're to be married on Thursday, Mr. Rett. I should like you to be there.
I'd be most happy. Thank you.
Now, Mary, would you wait outside? I've got some business to discuss with the sheriff.
Of course, Matt. But don't be long. Goodbye, Mr. Rett.
Bye, Miss Wayne.
Rett, this afternoon I'm leaving to find Todd Mallon. You had your chance, but you let him go.
Wait, Traveler. Wait.
I've tried patience, Rett, and I'm a poor hand at it.
Traveler, you have a fine girl. If it's not presuming, let me congratulate you and compliment her.
Thank you. Was that all?
I'll take care of Malin. Give me a little time. It's my job.
Rett, I want to believe you.
No man wearing a star should believe anybody. It's a weakness. Haven't I told you?
Blessed if I quite understand you, Rett.
And understand this. Every man has his time. When it comes, he knows it. There's no turning back. Nothing makes any difference then except to stand up to the finish and go out in decent style.
And yet you're the man never believes in giving another man a break.
Don't try to understand me.
You want help with Malin?
I have no faith in help.
Coming, Mary.
Wait, Traveler. I'll suggest this much. Take one man. Ride due north to where the cattle trail crosses Tempest Creek. Be there tonight. Understand?
Rett, I'd hate to oppose you.
If you did, you'd lose. I've been 15 years at this, Traveler, which is 5 years beyond average luck.
That evening, Jack Rett took up his post on the porch of the Chinook Hotel, dressed in his best, a hard white shirt, a blood-red Windsor tie, and a suit of black broadcloth swelling around the big, uncompromising shoulders. He sat there calm behind the smoke of his cigar, waiting.
Full moon tonight, Sheriff.
That's right.
No offense, mind you.
Good evening, Rett.
Hello, Mayor Wayne. Mayor, have you seen Traveler?
He rode north this afternoon. He'll be back tomorrow, he said.
Good.
Where's the sheriff?
Here I am.
But listen, I just come up South Creek, and Todd Malin and 6 men were only a quarter mile behind me, heading into town.
All right, friend. Take cover.
Yeah, sure.
Rett stood up and moved into the shadow at the end of the hotel porch. Across the street, Bohelen appeared in the full glow of the doorway of his saloon.
Come out in the dark and meet your prince, Jack Rett. What are you afraid of? They stolen Malin riding in to see you.
Thieves fall out, but the urge for profits brings them together again.
You should have known it, Rett.
Nothing surprises me.
Well, there you are, Rett. Surprised to find you exposing your great reputation out there in the middle of the street.
Every man has his time. You want to try it, Bohelen? Or will you wait for help?
I'll wait.
The arriving horses came up into the moonlit street and halted at the corner of the saloon. Bohelen's hand lifted toward the group, and at that order the horsemen spread out until they were flank to flank all across the street. Todd Malin advanced from the line and stopped, square and alert above the saddle. Jack Rett stood alone in the middle of the street, his eyes flashing a hard fury. Then he dropped his cigar and ground it beneath the boot. It was a final gesture.
How are you, Malin? Goodbye, gentlemen.
Next day, Red Mesa buried some more men out on the hill and talked of Jack Rett, who was more of a mystery to them now than when living. To all of them but one, Matt Travner.
Nobody knows a killer's world, Mary. Wasn't any room in Jack Rett for much pity. But he sent me away to save me from what he knew was coming. I think that was a kindness, although I had no fear.
It was a fine thing for him to do, Matt. But they say he stood in the middle of the street to face them all in the moonlight. Why? It wasn't his style.
As long as he was sure of himself and never gave anybody an even chance, Mary. But killers live and die by instinct. And somewheres along the evening, he got the warning. After that, it was just a matter of pride. He killed Malin and Bohelen before he died, standing up and in good style. And that's sort of a greatness, isn't it?
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you Wild Jack Rett by Ernest Haycox, especially adapted for radio by John Meston. Jack Rett was played by John Daner, with Larry Dobkin as Matt and Lou Krugman as Bohelen. Parley Bear was the narrator. Featured in the cast were Junius Matthews, Russell Simpson, Gene Bates, Paul Dubov, and Sam Edwards. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week, we escape with the story of two small boys who discover the most fabulous Christmas ever dreamed of, as Anthony Ellis tells it in his delightful tale, The Cave.
Stay tuned now for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. Roy Rowan speaking for CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
In the spirit of the Christmas season and its magic effect on all men, Escape brings you a charming fantasy about a small boy who discovered a delightful new world and lived forever after in its enchantment, as Anthony Ellis tells it in The Cave.
It's on days like this that I remember how it used to be before I found the cave. This day in particular. Of course, it's hard to see everything as it really was. Time has a habit of distorting the memories. Memories. Christmas. Christmas Day. Oh, what a long time ago that was. I was 10. And an unpopular uncle had distinguished himself by giving me a flashlight. And it was enormous. 4 batteries and the most incredible gleam to its metal case. I couldn't wait to try it out. And because it was still early afternoon, I could think of only one place that was dark enough for the exciting test. The cave. The big cave whose mouth was near the sand dunes and whose recess was rumored to be miles deep. George Fennell and I had never ventured more than 200 yards or so inside. But on that Christmas afternoon, I knew that the cold darkness of the cave would have no fears for George and me. We met near the dunes, as arranged, to compare notes on our respective Christmas presents. It was quite warm, and the snow was beginning to melt in patches. A few gulls were wheeling about nearby. It was as I have remembered it all my life.
Listen, I bet it'll work like a searchlight tonight. Oh, guess it would, all right. Maybe they'll let us stay up tonight. If it doesn't get cold, we could play pirates. I used my new gun. I thought we might go in the cave this afternoon. Hey, that's keen. Oh, maybe they'll get sore. I had to get all dressed up today.
Oh, get dirty? Besides, we could go a real long way inside and this.
I wouldn't want to go in too far. They say the cave goes off in a lot of tunnels. You can get lost.
Maybe. Haven't got a flashlight.
Sure, that's right. And with my gun. Sure, we can explore. Come on. I'll race you to the cave.
I won the race, and we stood at the entrance of the big cave. The arch had a span of about 25 feet, but just inside, it widened until the walls were 70 feet apart and the ceiling was over 50. As we passed from sunlight to shadow, I turned for a moment and looked down to the sea. At the water's edge, a gull stood, motionless, looking up at us. And then, solemnly, as though with disapproval, it too turned about and gazed out over the water. The opening of the cave receded and became small, and we went deeper and deeper.
Shine it up there, Dan. Way up. Okay. Gee, I bet that's high.
A mile, I guess.
You're dearly a mile. Maybe 100 feet. Bang, bang. Boy, that's keen. Just like a real gun.
Come on, let's look. Let's look the cave down here. It looks like a turn, see?
Well, okay, but we better not go too far.
Are you scared?
Heck no, but... Well, I gotta get back for dinner. You'll get awful sore if I'm late.
Oh, you won't be late. Come on. I want to see what's around here.
Okay. Hold the light on my gun. I gotta reload. Fish. Who ever heard of fish in a stream like this? Where'd they come from, huh? Where?
I don't know. They say there are fish in caves sometimes. Blind fish.
That's silly.
What are you stopping for?
We gotta go back now.
Why?
Because it's late. Besides, how do you know which tunnel we took? How? Maybe we could get lost.
Listen. Maybe if we keep on going, we'll find treasure in here.
Treasure?
Sure stands to reason. Maybe like in the pirate book. Somebody came here and buried treasure. Henry Morgan or somebody.
No.
Sure stands to reason. Everybody's like you. They say no, but just suppose. If no one's looking, how'd they know?
I think we better get back. Maybe tomorrow we can look. Cave's getting awful narrow.
We might even find old pirate bones and swords.
Oh, you got too much imagination. I heard them saying so at home. I don't want to go any farther.
I'm going to.
Okay. Give me the flashlight.
No. You want to go back? You go back in the dark.
Oh, they'll be mad. It's late.
Just for a little while. If we don't find anything, well, then we'll go back.
All right. But only a little while.
I'm thirsty.
You better not drink out of that water. It's probably poison.
Why? Hold the light. I'm going to have a drink.
There you are. See, I told you. Now you'll probably die. It's poison.
It's like the ocean.
Hey, look.
What?
There, coming down the stream, that white thing.
Yeah.
Looks like a piece of paper.
I'm going to get it. Hold on my hand.
You'll fall in.
Oh,
I got it. What is it?
I don't know. It looks like a handkerchief.
That's silly. It's too small. Who'd use a handkerchief like that?
My mother does.
Gee, I'd hate to blow my nose on that. You can almost see through it.
How'd it get down here?
Who cares?
Maybe it's a message.
Huh?
Like from someone in distress.
I'm going home.
Like a damsel in distress in the pirate book. Hey, we gotta find out. Give me my flashlight. We'll follow the stream.
We followed the stream. We walked by it as the cave twisted and curved. We didn't notice the passageway, which had been getting smaller all the time, suddenly widen out, and the stream, which was becoming a river, and the river... The river!
Hey!
What?
Where's the other side of the water?
There isn't any. It keeps going. It's like a lake.
Or maybe a sea. There's little waves.
Dan,
huh?
Turn the light around.
The walls are gone. There's no walls.
There's gotta be. It's a cave.
There's no top to it either.
It's still too high to see, that's all. Let's go home. Let's go home right now.
What are you afraid of?
I'm not, but I'm hungry and it's Christmas. Well, I got things to play with. Come on, Dan. Come on, I want to get outside. What'd you do that for? Turn on the light. Turn it on.
Don't you notice something?
You turn that on. Give it to me.
Oh, wait a minute. I want you to see something. I'll turn it
You
on.
give it to me. I'm not going to play with you anymore. You give it.
What you done?
It's all your fault. I didn't want to come in here anyway. How are we going to get back? It's dark.
No, I isn't. That's what I wanted you to see. Look up there.
I don't see anything.
You will.
Oh. It's like stars. Way up.
That's what it is. It's stars.
We stood there, George and I, 10 years old, and for a moment no longer afraid because of the wonder of the thing. It was like from a sky that I knew I had never seen before. Yet I knew I was still in the big cave because when I spoke, the echo of my voice returned.
It's beautiful.
I can't find it. The water's too deep. Dan.
That's funny.
You're always saying that. It's not going to be funny when we can't get home. Dan!
Now you do it.
What for? It's just an old echo.
Go on.
George.
There. How can there be an echo when there's no cave anymore?
You're trying to scare me. Well, I'm going. You can come too if you want. Dan, please.
Oh, but nobody's ever been in here ever. I bet we're the first. Except for pirates, maybe. I wish we could see more.
If my mother hadn't taken away my matches, we could find our way out okay. Golly, it's night. Come on. Please. I'm hungry. Somebody's in here. Somebody else.
Sounds like it's over there.
No, don't go there. Dan, I'm scared. I don't like this place.
Go home if you want to. I can see someone. Look. He's digging in the sand.
Don't let's go any closer, Dan.
Let go of me. I want to see what he's doing.
Look.
Some other people. They got swords.
Not you, Namby, you scurvy wretch. Look on him, bully.
Don't hit me, Captain. I just wanted to see if the treasure was still there. It's the truth, I did.
I'll show you what's there, you pot-bellied toad.
No, Captain, no. You're killing me. No, please, no. I was touching the treasure. Don't eat me again. Don't kill me.
I haven't started to kill you yet, Namby. Come on, bullies. Lie on. We'll exercise our appetite for the feast.
Escape under the direction of Norman MacDonald returns in just a moment. There's nothing quite as depressing as being hungry. Hunger is the hand which crushes the will to work. Hunger is the enemy of hope. And there are many, many hungry people today in the war-anguished lands of Europe and the Far East. You can restore that will to work. You can restore hope by combating hunger. And your weapon of combat is a care package. For $10, you can send a care package today. Keep sending them until those people can take care of themselves. And now, back to Escape.
In that faint light from the stars of another world, the world of the big cave, George and I watched. We could only see shadows until someone lit a lantern. And then I knew that I'd been right.
Pirates! Pirates! I want to go home.
Pirates they were. The most glorious, the gaudiest pirates to sail under the Jolly Roger. The leader was a huge man with a fine, bushy beard and a voice like the trombone in the village band.
How shall we cook him, boys? Broiled or steamed? No, Captain, no! Too tough a morsel for that, Captain. I say roast him. Aye, Jim. Roast it'll be.
Nothing like roast namby, I always say.
We'll cut out his heart first and feed it to the dog. Namby, you lily-livered aggravation, say your prayer.
He's going to kill him. I don't want to watch that.
Who was that?
I don't know, Captain.
Sounded like a boy. A boy? A boy?
Mayhap 'twas the Lady Alicia.
Bilge. She's in the dungeon, Gunpowder.
Aye, that's true.
It came from over there. Hold the lantern high, Shield.
They'll get us, Dan. We gotta run. Don't be afraid. If you're not afraid, nothing can happen.
Do you see anything, Gunpowder?
You know it, but save us all. 'Tis a boy. There's two of them.
We'll stop him. Boy, huh? Hold the little demon. That's it. Boy. Two small boys.
What'll we do with them, Captain?
Hang them, I say. Hang them. They're on to the treasure. You. Were it not Christmas, Namby, I should have turned you inside out. How's a bliss a blethering jaw? Aye, Captain. Aye. Boy, what's your name?
Dan Embry, sir.
On that one.
George. He's my friend. George Finnell. His father's a policeman.
Where'd you come from, boy?
Greenfield? That's outside the cave.
Cave? What cave? What do you do here? Who spies are you? Answer up!
Just exploring. We got here, that's all.
Exploring? Where's your ship?
We didn't come in a ship.
What, no ship?
They're boys, Captain. What harm can they do? Come, it's Christmas. I say feed them and send them on their way.
What's Christmas got to do with it? If there's spies, it's the place for them.
We're not spies. Honest.
We'll look into this further. Meantime, the goose and supping pig should be ready. I say it's time for the feast. Out by you with it. Are you hungry, boy?
Yes, sir.
And him?
He's hungry, too.
Then join us. And Merry Christmas. For no man can say Captain Blackton lacks the Christian spirit. Am I right, Namby?
You're right, Captain. Right as rain.
I'd have slit your gullet had you said me nay. Merry Christmas. And break out the rum barrel.
I remember that day, that long ago, the great dining board set upon trestles, the fruits, the wine, roast goose, and pig, the pirates roughed in their colorful patched clothing, the songs, the drinking, and stories of home and sea. Such Christmases are dreamt of, and I had dreamed it to come true. George sat next to me, eyes wide and unbelieving. And after the plum pudding, we were called on to sing a carol. And as we sang, they became quiet, and each sat lost with his own thoughts of sweetness and sadness. The little man Namby, bird-like and asleep. Don Fallon, thin as a twig, a patch over one eye, the other kindly and wise. Chill and the captain, tears coursing down their cheeks. These were my pirates, my own.
Well done. Well done, I say. A dollop of rum for the boys. Come on.
Captain, this being a happy day with us, let's share with those less fortunate.
Less fortunate? Oh, we all well met.
The Lady Alicia.
No, she is our prisoner. Until ransom is paid, so she will remain.
Oh, what matter if she graced our table for the evening? It has been long since a woman's been with us.
Very well. Stand the prisoner there. Bring her from the dungeon.
Then I thought of the fine lace handkerchief we had found in the stream. Would this prisoner, the Lady Alicia, would she have sent the message of distress? And how? They brought her in. And to me, she looked as she should have looked. The most beautiful lady in the world. Gowned in silks, with a pale but proud face. I fell in love with her, and I was 10. As the night wore on, the pirates grew drowsy. One after another, their heads drooped, and soon all were asleep. Even George, sitting small in his great chair, nodded. I went to the Lady Alicia's side.
It was your handkerchief we found in the stream, wasn't it? Yes. I had not dared to hope. But they have you locked in a dungeon. Beyond my window is a running brook. I prayed that when I dropped the kerchief, it would by some happy chance be discovered. Oh, I found it all right. You are very brave to have come here. How long have they kept you in prison? 6 months now. We were sailing to the Indies. Our ship was taken, and I alone survived. Now they hold me for ransom. That's terrible. Gosh, I wish I could do something to save you. There is nothing. I know I'm not very big, but maybe I could fight them. There are too many for you.
They're all asleep. Come on, we can get away now. Let's go home.
Home?
Sure, our folks are going to be mad.
George, we've got to save her. If you could but escape and deliver a message to my father.
Sure. Okay. Where does he live?
London. Lord Basingstoke. He will reward you well.
Sure. But we got to go now.
I don't want to leave you. They'll be angry when they wake up. My hope will rest in you. I shall pray for your safety and return.
Gee whiz, Dan. Come on.
Go ahead. I'll be right along.
Okay, but hurry up. I'll wait by the water.
Will you be all right? Yes. Suppose I come back and you're not here. I shall try to leave a message. I'm Dan. I know. When I get older, I'll marry you. You're beautiful. I'll wait for you. You must go before they're awake. I don't want to go. You will come back to me. Here. I love you.
Hurry up, Dan. Gee whiz, I want to get home. They'll be mad. Mother said not to be late for dinner.
We've got to save Lady Alicia. Don't forget.
Okay, but hurry up.
dark. Do you know which way to go?
I know.
I don't want to fall in the stream and get all wet. I got my good clothes on.
You won't.
I'm sorry I dropped your flashlight in. But save up. Get you another.
I don't mind.
I bet it's awful late. I'm glad it's Christmas. Maybe they won't mind.
We followed the tunnels one to the other. The stream flowed with us, urging us on. It was dark, but I knew the way. We felt along the damp walls of the cave, and at every step we moved further away from my world. And suddenly, from a great distance, we saw a tiny circle of light, a dot which grew and grew until it was the size of a gold sovereign.
There it is, Dan. It's the entrance. And it's still light out. I won't be late for dinner.
And I was afraid. I was afraid because I knew that if I stepped out into that sunlight, I should never be able to find my way back again. Never.
Hey, what are you stopping for? Why?
George?
If we run, we can be home before the sun goes down. For Pete's sake, Dan, what's the matter with you?
I'm not coming with you.
Oh, gee, what's the...
I gotta go back.
Go back? What do you want to do that for?
I got to. I don't want to leave her. The pirates. I want to go back.
Pirates? Who?
Lady Alicia.
Gee whiz, Dan. Come on, it was only a game. Come on.
You've forgotten. I knew you would. I'm not going with you.
You better. I'm going to tell your mother. You'll get it.
Goodbye, George.
Dan? Dan! Come back. Dan, what's the matter with you? Dan? You'll get lost. Dan! Dan! Don't go in there again. We played long enough. Come back. Come back. Dan! Dan! Dan!
I turned away from George and the speck of light that was outside. His voice followed me, plaintive and lonely. And then as I found the stream again, there was no sound but that of gentle water and my own steps. And the stream became a river, and the river broadened, the walls of the cave fell away, and I'd found my pirates again. It's on days like this that I remember how it used to be before I found the cave. This day in particular. Sometimes I wonder what happened to George and what it's like outside the cave, but I don't really mind. After all, the Lady Alicia kept her promise and waited for me until I grew up. Now, everything is as I'd always dreamed it in the books. Oh, Captain Blackton, well, he's still here. A little less ferocious, perhaps, than 20 years ago.
Captain?
Yes, Blackton.
If you and my lady are ready, sir, the turkeys are cooked, and the men are waiting your pleasure.
Very well, Blackton. Thank you. And a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, sir. And a Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you The Cave by Anthony Ellis. Featured in the cast were John Daner, Georgia Ellis, Peggy Weber, Jay Novello, Charlie Long, Lou Krugman, Wilms Herbert, and Eileen Erskine. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Ivan Ditmars.
Next week,
Escape with us to a placid English village and the company of an equally placid little old man who one day shook the world, as H.G. Wells told it in his delightful story, The Man Who Could Work Miracles.
Where does the world stand? Where is it heading as 1951 approaches? Next Sunday, CBS will bring you an exciting, timely appraisal of the world situation and some of the answers when 10 top CBS News correspondents are heard in a special broadcast entitled The Challenge of the 50s, Years of Crises. Remember, that's next Sunday afternoon on most of these same CBS stations. Now, stay tuned for Make Believe Town, which follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, where you spend an hour with Frank Sinatra every Sunday afternoon on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You, finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to a placid English village and the company of an equally placid little man who one day shook the world, as H.G. Wells told it in his delightful story, The Man Who Could Work Miracles.
Now, I might say right in the beginning that I ain't the kind of chap who has a naturally argumentative disposition. Oh, no, quite the contrary. I'm a reasonable man who always takes proper thought before he speaks, and one who has a due respect for scientific truth. Why, I ain't never opened my mouth to utter a word that wasn't a pure, undiluted fact.
That's what you say.
Howsoever, when a man of inferior intellect, such as Toddy Bemis has showed himself to be more than once, when a man like that insists upon airing his ridiculous opinions in a public place such as the Long Dragon Bar, then I've got no choice but to confound him with the superior knowledge which I possesses.
So you say.
That's right, so I say. And if you can't contribute nothing but the same 3 words to this discussion, I'll thank you to admit you're defeated and shut your mouth.
Well, now, Mr. Fotheringay.
Easy, lads, easy does it.
Well, I ask you, Constable. I'm only trying to enlighten the man from the bog of ignorance he's a-floundering in, and he keeps coming up with his infernal, so you say. Well, I'm a-wasting me words, that's all.
If punts had half and half flowed across this bar the way words do, then I'd have retired years ago.
Speaking of half and half, I'll have another of the same if you don't mind, Miss Bridges.
Right you are, Constable.
By all rights, Toddy Beamish, I shouldn't be wasting my time on you. But out of the goodness of my heart, I'll do it anyhow.
Suit yourself.
Now, let's take, for example, that pint of ale that you're holding in your hand.
It's pretty nigh empty.
Well, supposing, for instance, if that ale was to turn into wine.
I never cared much for wine. Always like ale better.
Now, if that ale was to turn into wine, then you'd have a miracle.
So you say.
So anybody says. Or take that master padlock on Miss Bridges' cash box. Now, if anyone could open that without a proper key, that'd be a ruddy miracle.
You leave the long bragging out of this.
Well, perhaps you ain't even aware of the proper definition of what a miracle is, Mr. Beamish.
Well, some is one kind and some is another, in a manner of speaking.
If anybody left so much as tuppence on the bar as a tip, that'd be a miracle, all right.
Well, be that as it may. But a miracle ain't of one kind or another, oh no. A true miracle is something contrariwise to the course of nature, done by the power of will. Something what couldn't happen without being specially willed to happen. And miracles ain't possible.
Easy, lad, easy, no.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say they ain't.
It's your ignorance that's talking. Now, look, you see that lamp sitting there on the end of the bar, burning as bright as you please?
I see it right in there.
Well, now, that lamp in the natural course of nature couldn't burn like that if it was turned upside down and hanging in the air.
You say it couldn't.
Mr. Beamish, do you mean to tell me...
All right, maybe it couldn't.
And if it did, that would be a miracle. Very well. Now, supposing somebody was to come along, take me, for instance, and he pointed his finger at that lamp like this and said, turn upside down. Now, if it...
There we are now. Standing there without no visible means of support.
Oh, I can't keep it up there much longer.
Remarkable, it's highly remarkable.
Stop it now, Mr. Fotheringay. Stop it immediately. That's my official order.
Well, look out, Constable. Look out, there it goes.
Now see what you've done, Mr. Fotheringay. My best lamp chimney, clean no more than an hour ago, smashed to smithereens.
But I didn't try to do it.
Oh, you know, you might have caught the place afire.
Most irregular. And illegal besides, like as not. No more of it now. Do you understand?
But I tell you, I didn't mean for it.
You and your silly conjuring tricks.
But all I done was to point my finger at it like that.
Yes, stop it now. Don't you dare.
Well, that's all I've done.
In that case, Mr. Fotheringay, you defeat your own argument right out of your own mouth.
And how is that, might I ask?
If it weren't caused by some form of trickery, then what happened to that lamp was a miracle.
Now, then, I ain't a holding with no blooming miracles.
Hold with him or not, as the case may be, Mr. Fotheringay. But you just stood right there and performed a real, true, honest, genuine miracle.
It weren't a matter of being asked to leave the Long Dragon, you understand. I'd already had my mind set on going anyhow. A place what's full of ignorant superstition ain't the kind of place for a man of rational intellect to be doing his thinking in. And thinking was just what was called for. On the one hand, I wasn't ready to swallow no miracle theory, but on the other hand, I wasn't able to recollect no scientific principle that might account for that which had occurred. As you might say, the question had dissolved itself into a dilemma. Well, my landlady, Mrs. Tetherington, was sitting up in the parlour when I come in.
Good evening, Mr. Fotheringay.
But I can't recall saying anything to her.
Very well, Mr. Fotheringay.
I went straight to my own room, closed my door, and lit the candle. Then I sat on the edge of my bed, grappling with the problem in a heroic fashion and trying to puzzle out the ultimate solution. Well, now, that wasn't no easy thing to do. It couldn't have happened, but it had happened. Which ain't logic, no matter how you look at it. Why, it'd be the same situation if I was to point my finger at that candle there and say, be raised up in the air. Blimey. Hanging there like a blooming firefly. But it's contrariwise. There it goes. No, now, lack as you're at. Oh, dear, now, where in the tarnation did that confounded thing get to? Well, at any rate, there should be some matches around here somewhere. Oh, here. Maybe I could... Yes. Let there be a match in me hand. Well, now, just like that. Oh, the safety match. Not a blooming good that's going... Oh, dear, half a Mona. Maybe I don't need a match. Maybe I could... Yeah. Candle, wherever you are, be lighted. Here now, not in the middle of my bed. None of that now. Well, open it up. It isn't locked.
Mr. Fotheringay, might I inquire what's going on up here?
Can't you recognise a man who's got his hands full of troubles?
Mr. Fotheringay, why is smoke coming out of that bed?
Because it caught on fire, that's why.
My wall comforter with all burned in it. Taking lighted candles to bed with you, indeed.
I'm not taking no candles nowhere, and I'll thank you to leave me the privacy of my own bedchamber.
You've been drinking.
On the contrary, I've been cogitating upon matters of science, which is far beyond the range of your feeble intellect.
Well...
Mrs. Tetherington, I might remind you that good steady rumours, such as a man like myself, ain't so easy to come by nowadays. With which I will bid you a highly, a respectful, a good a night.
Well...
Well, old vulture. Don't know who she's talking to. Me. A bloke what's only got to point his finger and say, be? And it is. Oh, blimey. If I ain't suddenly got the power to perform miracles. Real, genuine miracles.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, returns in just a moment. Tomorrow, New Year's Day, CBS will bring you exclusively the broadcast of the Rose Bowl game between the University of Michigan and the University of California. Don't miss this colorful, exciting event, the Rose Bowl game. Michigan, the Western Conference champions, against California, fighting for the West Coast's first victory in the present series. It'll be here tomorrow, New Year's Day, on most of these same CBS stations. And now, back to Escape.
Well, next evening after work, I went walking down the lane that leads around Millsdale's Pond, attempting to put me mental processes into order, as you might say. Mostly, I kept trying to cogitate on some honest-to-Betsy miracle that I might up and perform. But it ain't such an easy matter for a chap who's unaccustomed to goings-on of that nature. No, what I wanted was the genuine article. You understand? No little shenanigans, but one to make people stop and say, blimey now, if that ain't a real downright miracle for you. And then, all of a sudden, I had it. I just happened to recollect a chap somewhere who stuck his staff in the ground and commanded it to blossom. So, I poked my walking stick into the edge of the turf. I backed off a wee bit, and I pointed my finger at it and said, walking stick, become a blooming bush of flowering posies. Roses, by heaven. I done it, just like that fellow in the opera.
Now then, what's all this here?
Oh, Constable Winch, confound that man anyhow.
Cease and desist, whatever it is. In the name of the law.
Hey, yeah, you there, Rosebush. Go back now, fast.
Have a mind there who it is you threw in Bramblebush as that. There.
Oh, confounded, blundering idiot.
Who's conducting nefarious activities under the cover of darkness, assaulting an officer engaged in the pursuit of his natural...
Well... So it's you, Mr. Fotheringay.
The fact being self-evident, Mr. Winch, I will not bother myself to answer.
So you'll not bother yourself to answer, eh? And maybe you'll also deny that you just threw a great heavy mass of foliage at me?
I do deny it.
Then no doubt it just up and flew through the air, all by itself.
Constable Winch, you have just hit the ruddy nail right on the head.
Some more of them blasted hanky-pank conjuring tricks of yours. Is that it?
On the contrary, it was merely a small miracle.
You don't say so. In which case, His Honour might enjoy hearing you tell about it. So come along.
I'll do nothing of the sort.
Resisting an officer. That'll be another charge against you.
Charge, indeed. Mr. Winch, you can take your charges and go to Hades. Constable. Mr. Winch. Oh, blimey, if he ain't gone and disappeared complete like. Now, I wonder if he... I'm thinking this miracle business is a bit touchy. Why, a man might find himself in a whole peck of trouble before he learns the knack of the thing. Oh, I'd better go and get myself some real professional advice. Right away.
Oh, good evening to you, friend. A very pleasant evening to you.
And the same to you as many of them, Mr. Maydig. That is, your reverendship.
Oh, no formality now. None at all. You just call me Mr. Maydig.
Oh, well, now, thank you kindly, your Maydigship.
Won't you step inside?
Much obliged to you, Mr. Reverendship.
This way, Mr. I can't say that I caught the name.
Fotheringay. A George, a W, a Fotheringay.
Ah, yes. Not from my parish.
Well, yes, I attended services last Christmas.
Indeed. So many people did last Christmas. Well, here we are, Mr. Fotheringay. Take a chair.
It's a Fotheringay.
Oh, no, not that one. It's weak. I've often thought of doing something about it. Sometime. Yes, that one's fine.
Well, if you remind me before I leave, Mr. Mayship, and I'll put that little piece of furniture to rights for you.
Oh, then you're a carpenter.
Well, only in a manner of speaking, as you might say.
Well, now, Mr. Motheringay, feel entirely free to lay your burdens upon my shoulders.
Well, the fact is, the matter which I come here to talk about might be considered of a somewhat a delicate nature.
Oh, think nothing of it. Please feel free to speak, freely. My housekeeper retires very early.
Oh, no, your reverendship. Nothing like that.
Well, then, like what?
Well, the subject about which I'm inquiring is miracles.
Miracles, yes, indeed. Miracles? Any special kind of miracles?
Oh, yes. The kind which I performs myself.
I see. And what sort of miracles do you perform?
Well, for one thing, I've just finished sending Constable Winch to Hades.
Hades? Indeed.
Of course, when I realised what had happened, I had him transferred to San Francisco, wherever that is.
I'm sure he'll like San Francisco much better.
I see you don't believe me. I can't say I blame you either.
Well, after all, Mr. Fotheringay.
Fotheringay? Well, very well, there's nothing else to do but for me to up and perform a few miracles before we go any further.
Well, that's very interesting, I'm sure.
Well, now, you take that jar of tobacco there on the table, for instance. Now, suppose I just point my finger at it like this and become a bowl of violets.
Well, that's very interesting.
See? A bowl of violets.
Gobblot. I mean, so it is.
Of course, it ain't nothing very spectacular, your reverendship, but it's a sort of miracle a man can pass without tangling himself up in a mass of trouble.
It's extraordinary. Very, extraordinary.
You can see for yourself, they're real violets.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
Now, you take this for example. Become a bowl of fish. No, not that kind. Live fish in a goldfish bowl, swimming around. Now. That's better.
It's amazing. How did you do it?
Just told it to.
That's all?
That's all. When I tells a thing to do it, it does it.
It's incredible.
Come on me sudden, like you might say. Well, I'd like to know if it's real, genuine miracles or if it ain't. Well, seeing as how miracles ought to come under your reverendship's special province, more or less.
Yes, indeed. However, usually in a somewhat more academic fashion, these are more astonishing.
Well, as far as I can tell, there ain't no limit to it. Like, for instance, a bowl of fish. Turn into a pigeon.
Good heavens. Look at that thing. I say.
None of that. You stay away from Mr. Maydick now. And perhaps I'd best become that same jar of tobacco again. Well, Reverend, what do you think about it?
It's amazing. It's the most extraordinary thing I've ever seen in my life. Ever expected to see. I've got to think about it, consider the possibilities.
Well, I might come back in the morning.
Oh, no, I wouldn't hear of it. Look here, I was about to dine when you rang. Wonder if you'd join me. Of course, I'm afraid there's only cold mutton.
Well, now, perhaps there's something else you might like better.
Oh, anything. Frankly, I've grown to hate the sight of that. But you don't mean that.
But why not? Just name it.
A pheasant. I haven't tasted pheasant in years.
So then now is the time. Let there be a pheasant on the table. No, not like that. Let it be dead and roasted and ready to eat.
Oh, look at it. Oh, it's beautiful.
Smells good, too. Perhaps we'd better, yes. Let there be 2 pheasants. And truffles? And truffles.
Maybe some oysters?
2 dozen oysters.
I love it.
We better make it 3 dozen.
And some cheddar. Oh, we must have some cheddar.
Oh, yes. A pound of cheddar. now? What to drink, your reverendship? Champagne?
Well, I really shouldn't. Well, perhaps a small bottle of Moselle.
6 bottles of Moselle. A keg of Star and a case of champagne. Well, there wasn't no mistake about it. I'd come to the right place for certain. Once Mr. Maydig got over his first astonishment, he turned out full of ideas for brand new miracles. Things I might never have thought of, like as not. Well, we polished off that meal in no time at all. And an hour later, we was out walking in the dark streets of the village, churning out miraculous jobs so fast I fairly wore out my finger a-pointing with it. I couldn't begin to tell you all the things we'd done there in a couple of hours, but, well, we installed a new railway line, we drained Flinders Swamp and turned it into a meadow, we cured the vicar's warts, paved all the roads, eliminated taxation, reformed the Lord Mayor, and made all the girls in the village beautiful. Oh, these weren't any of your 8 miracles. All of these were big. And we went right on turning them out, one every 2 minutes, just as regular as clockwork. Well, by midnight we passed clean through the village, and we were walking along the lane by Millsdale's Pond, fairly tired out by all of that thinking and pointing and performing of miracles.
Mr. Fotheringay, I've just thought of another one.
Oh, indeed, and what might it be?
The village clock. Listen to it now. Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, that's true enough. It hasn't got a very melodious sound to it.
Then let's give them a good clock, a great, rich, booming one, shall we?
All right, Mr. Maydig. Let that there clock become a genuine London-style cathedral clock.
Oh, that's much better. Much better. Oh, the people of this village are going to have a big surprise when they wake up in the morning. After all we've done for them tonight.
Well, I might say there's 1 or 2 things that we've done that I ain't so sure about, like turning every drop of alcoholic beverage into plain water, for instance.
Oh, there's nothing to worry about, Mr. Fotheringay. You can always turn out a miraculous pint or 2 for your own purposes, and it will reform all the drunkards in the village.
Well, perhaps so. At any rate, we might as well wait and see what comes of it. Well, what do we perform next?
Well, I really don't know. I can't think of another single miracle that we haven't already.
Half a moment, Mr. Maydig.
Yes?
I just thought of one of my own I'd better take care of.
Oh?
Yeah. Let Constable Winch be right back in San Francisco again. See, he might be catching a boat or a train or something, you understand. I mean, I thought the best idea is just to keep sending him back there every once in a while.
Oh, I doubt that you have anything to worry about. San Francisco is some distance away, you know. I keep trying to think of one more miracle. A big one. Something worthy of ending the night with, but Oh. Well, now.
Huh?
I say. There is one, you know.
Oh, such as?
You see that moon, Mr. Fotheringay?
Oh, naturally. Nigh on to full by the looks of it.
Remember Joshua?
Joshua? Joshua? Oh, now, come off it now.
It would be a wondrous thing to see.
Well, now, that's a pretty tall order, making the moon stand still.
Oh, actually, it only appears to stand still. What really happens is that the Earth stops rotating.
Well, I think we'd better not go monkeying around with the universe.
Well, you probably don't have the power to do it anyway. It's really a superior class of miracle, you know.
Oh, I've got the power, all right, but I'm not so sure it's a good idea. I could do it if I wanted to.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course you could. Well, perhaps we'd better get along home.
Well, I don't know now. I might just leave it stop for a little while.
If you could stop it at all.
Oh, well, now, if that's the way you feel, you just take a look at this. Eh? The whole blinking world, stop rotating. Yeah, now, what's all this? I didn't order no wind.
Fotheringay, what have you done?
I don't rightly know. Look out, things are starting to blow loose.
Oh, you confounded, blundering idiot.
Duck your head. Here comes the Lord Mayor's sheep.
Duck yourself. Here comes the Lord Mayor.
Oh, you better lie down in the ditch before we get blown away.
Oh, it's getting worse all the time.
I can't seem to pull my wits together.
Fotheringay.
Oh, I got it. When the Earth stopped rotating, everything on the surface kept right on moving. 600 miles an hour. Houses, cows, the wind, everything. It's a scientific principle.
And a lot of good that does. Now, stop it, man. Do something.
Mr. Maydig! Wow, Mr. Maydig! Oh, blimey, if he ain't blown clean away. Gone. Oh, now I've got myself a fine kettle of fish for certain. If only there weren't so much confusion, perhaps I could... Oh, that's it. It's the only answer. All right now. Let nothing happen until I say the word go. And when I do, let everything come back exactly like it was just before I turned that blooming lamp upside down in the Long Dragon bar. And at the same time, let me lose this here miraculous power complete like. Just forget all about it. You got it now? Everything just as it were. No more miracles. Just let me forget the whole thing. All right then. You ready? Go!
That's only what you say.
And the same as anybody else might say who's got the least bit of scientific knowledge inside of their thicker heads. Aren't I right, Constable Winch?
Couldn't actually say, Mr. Fotheringay. The subject ain't exactly in my province, you know. Neither are the same, Miss Bridges.
Right now, Constable Winch.
Irregardless, Mr. Beamish, miracles ain't possible.
So you say.
Perhaps you don't even know what a miracle is. Perhaps if I was to point my finger at that lamp there on the bar and tell it to turn upside down, I suppose you think it might do it.
Well, I wouldn't say it wouldn't.
You wouldn't say it wouldn't. Mr. Toddy Beamish, you haven't got a brain in your head. And I'm only wasting my time trying to enlighten you. There you are, Miss Bridges.
Thank you kindly, Mr. Fotheringay.
I'll be dropping in again when the place ain't quite so crowded. And so I bid you all a respectful good night.
Well, Toddy, I'd say you got the best of the argument tonight.
Glory be, will you take a look at this?
What's up, Miss Bridges?
Sixpence. He left me sixpence right here on the bar, big as anything.
And so he did.
The like of it ain't never happened before. Saints preserve us if it ain't a downright bloomin' miracle. That's what it is, a downright bloomin' miracle.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you The Man Who Could Work Miracles by H.G. Wells, especially adapted for Escape by Les Crutchfield. Ben Wright was starred as George Fotheringay. Featured in the cast were John Daner, Lou Krugman, Eileen Erskine, and Wilms Herbert. The special music for Escape was composed and adapted by Del Castillo.
Next week, escape with us to the wind-swept peak of Mount Everest and the story of a man who sacrificed everything to climb it, as Leonard Lee tells it in his gripping story, Conquest.
This afternoon, CBS presents a 1-hour-long program for all who are wondering where the world is heading. It's called Challenge of the 50s, Years of Crises, and it will feature Edward R. Murrow and 10 outstanding CBS correspondents. It follows immediately on most of these same CBS stations. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, where you spend an hour with Frank Sinatra every Sunday afternoon on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You, finding life rather dull, dreaming again of exotic places, wishing you were somewhere else? We offer you Escape.
Escape with us now to the windswept peak of Mount Everest and the story of a man who sacrificed everything to climb it, as Leonard Lee tells it in his gripping story, Conquest. to know what it's like up there. I'll tell you, it's a constant torrent of wind and snow. It's jagged rocks, iced as slick as a knife blade. No man has ever set foot on the place. It's as bleak and barren and lonely as the moon. But it's Everest. Mount Everest. And when you stand on its peak and know that every inch of the world is below you, there in the palm of your hand lies the final conquest.
We're not going to make the mistakes Norton and Somerville made. We'll spend the first night at Camp 5 and the second night at Camp 6. That brings us to 26,800 feet.
Are you going to make the north face to the Kulwar, Mallory?
No, that's what they did. We're going to make a frontal attack, direct. We'll follow the crest of the northeast ridge to the peak.
Now, that's tougher climbing.
The only chance, Hamilton. And we'll take oxygen on the last dash.
Well, best of luck, Mallory.
Thanks.
We watched them as they left Camp 4, 23,000 feet on the face of Everest. Mallory and Irvine, stocked with their provisions. Pitons, carabiners, hammers, axes, packboards, snowshoes. Two diminishing silhouettes against the powder snow of the Rongbuk Glacier, finally disappearing behind a jut in the North Col. We watched them and prayed for them, and we hated them, because we weren't part of that final run to the top. Two days later, June 10th, 1924, a man crawled toward us in the snow. We ran out of the tent to get him. It was Odell, our geologist from Camp 6. He could hardly speak. Challoner, brandy.
Here, Odell, drink this.
Thanks. What happened?
I saw the top.
Did they make it?
I don't know. They were about 800 feet from the peak. Mallory and Irvine. At the last step. Then the mist closed in.
It's only a matter of time. They'll make it.
Hamilton. No man can live up there. There's nothing to breathe.
And that was the last word. Somewhere in that jungle of ice, their frozen bodies lay. The peak was still unscaled. We looked out at the expanse of desolation stretched up before us. We looked out and up. The calm arrogance of the summit was wrapped in mist. From that moment on, there was only one purpose to my life: to climb that mountain.
I'm sorry, Hamilton, no more money.
Look, Ben, I can make it. I know I can. I've been up there. I know every crevasse. I know every rock up to Camp 6.
So what's the point? So you reached the peak, so what? The bear went over the mountain. What did he see but the other side?
All right. I don't expect you to understand why people climb mountains. It's a kind of insanity. Let's let it go at that. But from your viewpoint, look at the publicity. Grisham sports equipment used on the first ascent of Mount Everest, the highest mountain in the world. It'll be worth $1 million to you.
You have a point there.
The initial expense, including everything, will be about $25,000.
$25,000? It's out of the question. Best I could do would be 15.
I knew you'd say that.
What?
15,000 is plenty. Well, what do you say, Challoner? Are you with us?
Well, last time it was pretty rough, but I'm always fool enough to try again.
Fine.
Who have you got lined up so far?
Langmuir, he's pretty young, but he's got a lot of energy and a lot of experience for his age. Newt Revere, you know him. 4 of us will lead.
That sounds pretty good. How about financing?
The Mount Everest Committee can't supply it all, so I got most of what we need from Grisham. He makes sports equipment. It's a publicity deal.
I see. Well, it's March now. We ought to have our base camp established by mid-April. And then we'll have about a month of climbing before the monsoon hits.
Yes, that's what I planned. We'll be leaving in about 10 days. Can you be ready?
Yes, I'll be ready, Hamilton. And so will Everest.
We arrived in Darjeeling on April 2nd. We hired Sherpa porters and Tibetan guides, bought more tents and scientific equipment, and headed toward Everest, 100 miles away. But it was almost 3 times as far, snaking through the gorges of the eastern Himalayas. Our second night out, we camped in the sweltering swamp jungle of Sikkim. I can't sleep.
Try a wet towel on your head.
I've tried everything. Hamilton? Yes? Can you sleep? No. If you ask me, we should have taken the south slope. Gets more sun, less ice. Did you hear me, Hamilton? Yes, I heard you. Well, why didn't we try the south slope? Because the north slope is explored and possible. Besides, Nepal won't grant permission.
Let's try to sleep,
Can't sleep. Too hot. Can you sleep, Revere?
I could try if it weren't for all this talk.
Hold it. There's somebody outside. Yes, who is it?
Tishba or Marari?
The head porter.
Oh, you better tell him to come in, Hamilton.
Come in. Yes, Tishba, what is it?
Not go. Not go to Chomolungma.
What?
Signs very bad for mountain. Death. Death, I see.
What signs?
Bend of the trees and the stars. No good. Not go to mountain.
All right, Tishba, how much?
I do not understand.
The bend of the trees is worth how much?
Oh, signs are bad. $500.
Get back to your tent.
$400. $400, the blessing from Holy Lama of wrong book.
All right. But that's the last holdup, you understand?
I'm sure signs will be better.
Now get back to your tent.
Oh, gladness.
There's a gurkha for you. The Sherpas won't come around for more money in the middle of the night.
Well, good night, gentlemen. It's too blasted hot. Enjoy the heat, Langmuir. In another 48 hours, you'll wish you had every steaming bit of it. We pushed on through the Sikkim to the Tibetan plateau. The mercury plunged to 0. The wind and snow lashed at us. We'd begun to climb. We stopped at the monastery on the Rongbuk for the Lama's blessing to satisfy the porters. Moved on up the glacier. 12 below now. And then, in a momentary clearing of clouds, I saw it once again. Everest, and the white plume flowing from its peak. We were at 16,000 feet. It was at this point we established our base camp. All right, Charlie, now tell them what we've decided.
All right. Camp 1 will be at 18,000. Camp 2 will be at 20. Camp 3 at 21. Camp 4 at 23. Now, we'll each carry oxygen. The tanks are light, but we'll have enough to last us for about a week if we use it right. When we get near the top, the routine will be 15 minutes of climbing, 1 hour's rest.
We're not making the mistakes Mallory did. There any questions?
Yes. How do we pair off, Hamilton?
Challoner and Revere, Langmuir, and myself. We'll travel together up to Camp 4, then we separate into doubles. The rest of the men will be dropped off at the camps as we move along to maintain relays. Anything else?
Yeah. I think we're going to make it.
We climbed over the icy slopes, establishing camps as we went. Finally, after days of driving forward inch by inch, we reached the North Cow, just 7,000 feet from the summit of the mountain. The wind hurtled down in the slopes in a sweeping gale, hard and cold as rock. Mallory had camped here just days from his death. Night closed in. The lack of oxygen had numbed the mind and fired the temper. Our civility was suffocated. We were savages, nothing more. We sat around an alcohol flame, the four of us, breathing hard, staring at each other's bearded faces, while outside the wind beat at the tent flap.
Gotta have oxygen.
You've had plenty.
Can't breathe.
You can breathe. Just take it easy. Any more oxygen, your body will stop regulating to the altitude, and you won't be able to do without the stuff.
My heart's going like a trip hammer.
It'll get worse.
I gotta have some, I tell you.
Sit down. Stay away from that tank.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I said stay away. All right, come on, now get up.
Oxygen. Please.
Sit up and behave yourself. I'm the leader of this expedition, and you'll do as you're told.
Here, Lanyard. Give me a hand.
No. Let him lie there, Challoner. You'll be all right in the morning. In the morning, Revere and Challoner set out to establish Camp 5 at 24,000. Langmuir and I watched them go, chopping their way up the ridge to the northeast shoulder. When we lay down, waiting, trying to conserve our strength, Langmuir stared upwards, his lips moving in prayer, deep sunk eyes, chest heaving. The next day we set out, following Challoner's marks.
Langmuir! What is your name? Right! Easy now! I can't! 100 feet, Langmuir, then we can rest. Now, come on. No. Take a little more oxygen, then. There. You feel better? More.
One more. Now, come on. Go to the shoulder of the camp.
On a show.
He stood on my shoulders, and I boosted into the narrow ledge. He grasped for the edge, his fingers clawing at the smooth rock. I felt his foot slip from my shoulder. I grabbed for his leg and missed. Black space sank below us, and he fell.
Escape, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, returns in just a moment. CBS wishes to call your attention to the debut of 3 programs today. Bill Goodwin's entertaining $1 a Minute, a new 15-minute news program featuring Eric Severide, chief of CBS Washington Bureau, and Charlie Wilde, private detective, which is moved to CBS from another network. And now, back to Escape.
As Langmuir fell, I braced myself against rock, waiting for the rope around my waist to pull taut. And when it jerked, it burned into my flesh and tore me into space. I scrambled under the double weight, lunging desperately for a hold. I threw my arm around the snub of rock just at the edge and started to pull up. Slowly, I reached the ledge, gasping for air. I looked down. Langmuir was swinging at rope's end in a small arc above the yawning emptiness, just 100 feet below me. The wind tore at my face. My arms were aching. I felt them slipping from the rock, and then I saw Langmuir grab a handhold and start to climb. And the rope loosened, and I relaxed. He was all right. I sniffed at my oxygen, but it made me drunk. 3 hours, I told myself. 3 hours to Sean.
Hamilton, you all right? It's Challoner. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right. How did I get here?
Langmuir brought you in.
I must have passed off.
Yes, you certainly did.
Where's Revere?
A rock fall. He must have been killed instantly.
3 of us. 3 of us left. We haven't even established Camp 6.
Look, Hamilton, I'm not a young man anymore. I'm 38. That's fine, but selling shoes in a department store, not quite up to this kind of thing. I just about reached my limit, Hamilton. You and Langmuir, you two will have to climb alone from here on up.
I think we can do it.
I'll stay here at Camp 5.
All right, Solomon. I hope I get a good sleep. Because tomorrow I've got a date with the mountain. It's quiet outside. It's a wonderful day. It's the best we've had yet.
What do you think of cutting the north face across the couloir, making a final ascent directly up the western part of the north side?
No, we'll take Norton's route as we planned.
So what about Camp 6?
Well, if we can establish it at 27,000, the final dash will be short. That'll double our chances. Well, Langmuir, what do you say? You want to go on?
Look up there.
What?
The mist is beginning to clear. There it is, Hamilton. The summit. The top of the world.
We started up again, up toward the summit. Our altitude was 25,000. We planned to camp at 27, leaving only 2,000 feet for the final spurt. We hung desperately to the sheer face of the mountain, the freezing wind whipping up from the great couloir, tearing at our grasp. All the next day we inched upward, our hearts pounding. By nightfall we had only reached 26,000. We had to camp or die. I found a small recess. We pitched our tent over it, fastening the stays with pitons. We huddled together in the cold darkness. Langmuir was exhausted. I heard him gasping the weak air. My arms and legs were swollen with pain, my lungs bursting. The top seemed miles away. Every ache in my body urged me down to the firm, warm earth. But the peak, only 3,000 feet, the white plumed peak.
26,000. Only 26,000. We'll never make it, Hamilton.
You can see it in the daylight, the peak, Langmuir.
We'll go like Mallory went up there. Suffocation.
We'll make it.
Suffocation. No air. Nothing to breathe.
Stop it, Langmuir.
We've got to go. Go back.
We're not going back. We're going to the top.
We've got to go back.
3,000 feet, that's all. 3,000 feet and we're there.
Mallory. He couldn't breathe. He's here somewhere. Dead. Frozen dead.
We'll make it.
Tomorrow morning we're going back.
Langmuir, we've climbed tougher ones than this in the Rockies. The slopes aren't hard. From here on, it's simple. We'll make it, Langmuir.
We've got to go back.
We're not going back. You understand? We're going to make it.
Hamilton!
Listen to me. If you try to turn back, I'll kill you. The mountain wasn't ice and rock to us anymore. It was a human force, an arrogant, wild challenge. Defiant, fighting conquest with choking cold and the constant earth pull downward. Death didn't matter. My life a Langmuir. That was the top, and we were going to reach it. In the morning, we started up again. We moved like automatons, not daring to think or feel. Moved up by instinct. And then it happened. Langmuir slipped again, and I plunged my pickaxe into a crack and waited for a sharp tug on the waist rope. It came. I pressed myself against the rock, waiting for the slack that told me that he'd regained his foothold. And suddenly, above the high wind, I heard a massive rumble. I felt the earth shaking itself to pieces. Avalanche!
Daniel! Crazy! It's crazy! We'll be killed! Are you all right? I'm going back. No, wait! Stay where you are, Hamilton. Listen to me! I cut the rope. I'm going back. I'm coming down to you. Hamilton, I've got a knife. Hamilton, don't try to stop me. Hold on. Go on back. Go on back. I'm going under the top. Goodbye. Hamilton. Goodbye.
Everest. I'm going to beat you, Everest. I'm going to the top. I'm going to the top. There was no time. There was no space. There was only the mountain and me. I climbed. I kept climbing. The sky darkened. The wind rose. The air was like a blade in my throat, but I kept going. And when it was too dark to climb, I dug myself into a hollow place. And I lay there, thinking of home, of the sanity of the open fire, the comfort I'd left behind. Night on Everest. Night on Everest and the terrible wind. Morning broke milder and clear. I left the hollow and looked upward through the glare of the sun. The slopes were more gentle, the holes easier. It was as if Everest had suddenly relaxed its guard, for there, just above me, lay the few yards of level terrain which formed my goal. I started again, moving upwards, senseless to pain. Hours later, the ground leveled and I stopped crawling. I lifted my head, and around me in every direction, clouds and peaks. Below me, the black outline of the earth. I'd made it. I was the first man ever to reach the peak of Mount Everest. I forced myself to my feet, weaving dizzily. All the pain, all the intense agony of the altitude and the climb was forgotten now. I looked down at the magnificent peaks of the surrounding Himalayas. I couldn't believe that I'd done the impossible. There was a small camera in my knapsack. I took pictures of every horizon. I walked around the summit, my summit, drunk with the knowledge of what I'd done. And then, suddenly I stopped. For there, wedged into a crack of rock, something bright and gold shone up at me. I bent down and pulled it out. It was a cigarette case. It bore the initials GLM. George Lee Mallory. I stood there trembling, the cigarette case in my hand. An instant before, I'd experienced the elation of the greatest possible triumph. And now there was only defeat. Defeat and the indescribable hate for a dead man. Oh, how he must have smiled as he went to his death, knowing that the second man to reach the top would find his proof. The second man to reach the top. I was only the second man. And then it came to me. Why must anyone know? Why must I tell the world what I'd found? Mallory was gone, he wouldn't hear the applause. It would be me, Chase Hamilton, the man who had conquered Everest. I took a small plate of metal from my wallet and wedged it into the rock. It read, Hamilton Everest Expedition, 1925. Then I strapped on my sack. I looked below me. It would be a difficult descent. But there was only one direction to go now. Down.
You at about 1,000 feet from the peak. Is that right, Mr. Hamilton?
Yes, that's right. Challoner found me. He brought me back to Camp 6.
How come Langmuir didn't go to the top with you?
He died, gentlemen. The rope broke and he fell. Langmuir deserved a lot of credit, though. Without him, I never could have gotten near the summit.
Well, how does it feel, Mr. Hamilton? How does it feel to be acclaimed as the first man to climb the highest mountain in the world?
Well, gentlemen, I feel as if you could just give our papers a statement of some kind. How does it feel to be the very first?
Yes, that's what we want to hear, sir.
You don't climb a mountain just for fame and glory, gentlemen. You climb it for something more personal than that. And you can't lie to yourself.
I'm afraid I don't understand. You were the first.
No, gentlemen. Not quite the first. George Lee Mallory reached the top last year. I found his cigarette case wedged in a rock on the summit. This cigarette case. Smoke, gentlemen.
Under the direction of Norman MacDonald, Escape has brought you Conquest by Leonard Lee, especially adapted for Escape by David Ellis. Bill Conrad was starred as Hamilton. Featured in the cast were Larry Dobkin, Ramsey Hill, Lou Krugman, Jack Crucian, Larry Thor, and Ben Wright. The special music for Escape was composed and conducted by Del Castillo.
Next week, escape with us to Western Europe and the story of a futile attempt to save a beautiful girl from the clutches of the most cold-blooded political organization on earth, as Anthony Ellis tells it in his exciting story, A Bullet for Mr. Smith.
Next Tuesday evening, CBS has a big treat in store for all of you. Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, Amos and Andy, Bob Hope, Mary Martin, Judy Garland, and a raft of other stars will be on hand to salute Bing Crosby, who is celebrating his 20th year in show business. Be sure and join them on Tuesday. This is Roy Rowan speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.